Okay, welcome to Wednesday, June 16th meeting. Please silence cell phones, it should be Tuesday, I'm sorry. We had Wednesday on the, someone pointed that out to me earlier too, so. And we had Wednesday, and it should be Tuesday, June 16th meeting. Please silence your cell phones, pagers, and other electronic communication devices. Agendas and speaker request forms are located at the back of the chambers. We do have 3 speaker request forms. So today, we have a little special procedure here. So today's prayer is going to be, and Pledge of Allegiance is going to be led by Ron Rosknecht. In honor of the American flag, it's 250 years anniversary for America, and we had some discussion about Red Skeleton and his interpretation of the flag. So Mr. Rosknecht is going to lead us off with a prayer and a Pledge of Allegiance, special tribute to the flag. So, Ron?
Mr. Chair, and I'll go ahead and read the way Richard Red Skeleton did it in 1969. Break it down so people understand what the Pledge of Allegiance means, and then we'll say it together. I'll do my sound prayer now. Thank you. I will now, in Richard Red Skeleton's words, we wanted to watch the video, it's copyrighted, but he did a really good job. I'm just going to do the best that I can under the circumstances. But when he did it in his video, I'll just break this down. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all my worldly good to give without self-pity, allegiance, my love, and my devotion. To the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of courage, and wherever she waves, there is respect because your loyalty has given her the dignity that shouts out freedom is everybody's job. Of the United States, that means we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united in the 48 great states, 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose, all divided by imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common cause, and that's love of the country, of America. And to the republic, a sovereign state in which power is invested into the representatives chosen by the people to govern. And the government is the people, and it is from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands, one nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power for one to live his own life, without fears, threats, or any sort of retaliation, and justice, the principle and qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all that means boys and girls, and it's much your country, and it is mine. And now let's all stand up and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Rosknecht, and I think that we all, when we say the Pledge of Allegiance, sparks a little particular place in our heart that we live in a beautiful country. We had a conversation earlier with one of the members that we talked about going to other countries, and they have the U.S. World Cup here, and there have been a lot of good reports that we get a lot of immigrants and people coming to our country and they've been treated very well. They're just astounded by our freedom and what we have here. So that being said, we're going to have a motion here to approve the agenda.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do you need me to read the names when I? Okay, motion by Drew, second by Rosknecht. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. The Board of Commissioners uses the consent agenda to act on non-controversial and routine items. The consent agenda is acted upon by one motion and vote of the board. Items may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda at the request of a board member or a citizen. The consent agenda contains the following items. So they're A through I. So does anybody want anything removed from A through I in the audience? Nobody in the audience wants anything removed. Frank, you good? Okay. So commission, anybody want anything removed? Nope. So I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion from Roskinek, a second by Durr. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Deb. Public comment. There's a 3-minute time limit per person. A speaker request form is required. No commission action will be taken during this section. Speakers under this section will be recorded in the minutes by their name and the area of interest. So we'll hold you to 3 minutes. Sometimes we, under the circumstances, we get a little over or a little less or whatever. So thank you. And I guess the first one up to bids here is Karen McNeil. So Karen, if you just want to come forward, state your name, and then you can have 3 minutes. Go ahead and speak.
Okay, Karen McNeil. Thank you for the opportunity to address the commission. I don't think any intelligent person would discount that there are some election integrity issues in California, looking at the mayor's race that went on there. So if it can happen there, it can probably happen anywhere. So I just wanted to say that I've run twice now for District 32 State Senate, and both times I lost by the same margin, 60-40. And so I would just like to propose, I'm a trained scientist, and when you have a question or a hypothesis about something, you basically design an experiment, you test it, and then you draw your conclusions. And I would propose that maybe to kind of put this election integrity thing to bed, which keeps coming up, and there's several races, as you're probably aware, that kind of seem a little odd. Maybe what you do is put precincts in a hat and pull one out and do hand counting on that and compare it to the tabulator results. And then you'll know, is this thing valid or not? So that's just something, I don't think people should come up here and complain. You should maybe have some kind of an idea of a proposal, and then you have a conclusion based on your testing. So that's all I wanted to say. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Cindy Cook. How are you, Cindy? You just want to come up and, did you bring us any jewelry today?
What'd you say?
Did you bring us any jewelry today?
Well,
I know you sell jewelry.
I'm
so-
always wearing it.
Yeah, okay, all right, go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Cindy Cook from Rapid City. It doesn't matter who you vote for, as long as the investors from ES&S are in charge of our elections. It is predetermined who wins and who loses. If you were paying attention to the primaries, it was full of races that if you looked at the graphs of the algorithms, you should know it was mathematically impossible. Some people lost, some won. How do we know? We have selections, not elections. It appears selection results were loaded into the LNA test decks. Logic and accuracy. Isn't that a play on words? No-Wink total vote mock election results displayed temporarily by mistake on the SOS website, and it magically mirrored the primary election results percentages. Exactly. What is the probability of that? Candidates and citizens obtained screenshots prior to the takedown. Is it a random chance that mock election test deck results percentages would equal election night results? According to Claude and Grok, highly improbable. A Smartmatic whistleblower with 20 years experience in electoral systems said our elections are being manipulated by foreign agents through Dominion and ES&S. He gave a 2.5-hour testimony. I have the highlights on my phone in an 8-minute listen to summarize if any of you would like this. He says they can inject votes with nobody knowing it. He also said they can change the ballot image. Think of that. 2.5 hours of testimony speaking against the machines and the software. I don't understand why we are still using electronic machines to count our votes. Do you think it is possible that people involved in this would be held accountable? This is a national security issue. That's what Tulsi Gabbard says. Why not hand count the governor's race? You could see how effortless this is with only one race. And look at all the money you'd save. I hope you will consider this. 2 people yesterday requested a hand count for a recount. Here. Your office said no. Why is that? What is there to hide? It would have been the simplest of things, but you did not do that. Jeff O'Donnell is an election guru who did a database of every single race in every state and in every county of algorithms that you could have looked at to see how they all came out, and it was impossible that they were all the same during the day on some races.
If you could wrap it up, Cindy, thank you.
Well, if you haven't read the book on stolen elections, I gave it to you. It has all the evidence in that book of how they're doing it, and I think all of you should consider reading the book. Thank you for your
Cindy.
time.
Next up, Dale, and I apologize, Dale. Is it Boos or?
You got it.
Okay, cool. I know I've asked you that several times, and
I'll answer to anything. Dale Boos, Rapid City. So I want to tell you a little bit about a self-experience. I came to the test deck viewing before the elections here in Pennington County. The next morning, I went to Meade County. I'd never been to one. Wanted to see what was going on. Me and 3 other people were here in Pennington, and myself and the state's attorney were in Meade County. Anyway, watching the machines, and I asked for some test results from those test deck testing. And so they gave me the results, and same way with Meade County. And I don't know why, but I kind of said to myself, boy, wouldn't it be interesting if the results on these test decks come out similar or exactly the same as election night? Not knowing, I'm just, talking to myself. What do you think happened? 10 different races came out exactly the same percent as the mock election. That should be concerning. I mean, probability of that, what is that? I would have never known if I didn't go there, and I kind of made light of it. Lo and behold, it came absolutely true. So, in other words, our elections are predetermined. As Cindy said, it was up on the Secretary of State's website and quickly taken down because they didn't want people to think our elections were already given. And, you think about it, we lost 16 plus conservatives in our legislators. 16. They all got targeted. It was the people voted against the CO2, the prison, election integrity. They all got targeted, taken out. What's the probability of that? So, being our elections are predetermined, that does tell you that our elections are no more than an illusion of choice. People came and gave their choice, but it didn't really matter. So, to the governor's race, there's one race. And for you guys to be absolutely sure who the winner is the winner, you need to hand count. And so it couldn't be any more simpler. You got one race to go through. Anyway, I know you guys are better than this. It seems like somebody's holding something above you. I can't put my finger on it, but it's obvious in the elections. So I'm out of time, sorry.
Okay. No, that's fine. And I can guarantee you nobody's holding anything above me, so if you ever want to have that conversation, we'll do that. And I can speak for my other commissioners here. That ain't happening here.
Because, you know, you guys' excuses are becoming so...
We don't have any excuses. Your time's up, so
Okay,
you
well-
want to have a seat, and then you can call me anytime you want or have a conversation with me
Okay, well,
afterwards.
thank you.
You bet. Thanks. All right, that's it.
Mr.
So
Chair,
we'll move- Yes.
I do have a couple follow-up, not for them, but maybe our own staff regarding some of the comments made.
Okay, that's fine. I was gonna address it afterwards, but you can address it now. That
So I see one lone person from the auditor's office, so would you please step forward?
you were hiding behind the computer.
Trying to.
Go ahead, Commissioner Durr, you have the floor.
Yeah, a couple things I would like to, an example that you brought up about 10 of the, could you explain what the mock stuff that is loaded or whatever the data set that's loaded to test? And could you talk about that?
Sure, we are required by law to have a test deck, 25 of each unique style of ballot. It ended up to be 3,150 ballots. There is multiple people that are just randomly voting them. And then we test our results, and we run those through multiple times throughout the whole time. I mean, we have multiple tests. We have a public test, like he had mentioned that he came and viewed. It is very random. There is no predetermined, set results.
Okay, so when you say that the people that are filling those out, is it people that are filling those out?
I mean, you guys could have, like anybody could have. It was just in our staff.
All right,
We had multiple people filling that. I mean, it takes a while to fill out 3,150 ballots.
all right, just to run them through as a test.
Yes.
Okay. And then could you explain if somebody requests a recount, on what basis would you deny a recount? So if there was a request for 2 and we're hearing that there were and they were denied, could you explain that?
So yesterday we did have 2 races that a committee man and a committee woman in 2 different precincts that had a recount. And they both had requested a hand count. However, it's not our office. Our office just supplies the materials and the support. It is a judge appoints an attorney and 2 board members. Those board members, by law, we are required to run them back through the tabulator. The board has the decision to then do a hand count if they want to test the accuracy. However, they decided not to because they came back 100%. The results matched, so they decided not to do a hand count.
All right. And then it was mentioned about doing a test on a precinct, and that is in the law, correct? That we have to pull a certain percent, we have to select precincts and then do a hand count to match the tabulator?
In a primary and a general election, there is in law that you have to do a post-election audit where you pull the precincts. However, if there is a recount, that post-election audit is not required.
Because that meets the test when you do the recount?
Yes.
All right. Okay.
I had one question too. So the mock test, do you have the results of the mock test?
Of the public test?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the results,
Okay, you can make those public.
which were provided to everyone that attended that day.
Right.
Mr. Chair.
The accusation was made that they matched the election.
Yes, every time we ran the test deck, the machines matched the test deck results. We never had any errors or discrepancies.
No, but I mean the mock test that you ran the actual election results. That's the way I understood the comment was made. So like you ran the mock test and you had the results, And then you ran then we did the election and the results were the same as the mock
Yes,
test?
anytime before you start counting, including yesterday before the recount, you have to run the test deck to make sure that your machines are still accurate. So every time we've ran them,
Yeah,
they were
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand,
So
so.
I would like, with the information, is it John? Dale, can you get the information that you spoke to about the 10 races that came out the same? Can you get that to Jordan, and then Jordan will get the information to the commission?
Right, I don't have it on me right now, but
Can you get it to Jordan, and then Jordan will get the information and present it give it the information to the board as a follow-up? Is that good, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, that'll work.
All right.
That'll work. And then Commissioner Roskinek had a question.
Yeah, my question is, let's just say we did a hand count for the governor's race. I guess I'm trying to figure out, there's a lot of people out there, and if we did that, I think it would quell a lot of their concerns. And what would be involved? I mean, how much difficulty would it be for Pennington County to do a hand count on, to me, which is a very important race?
I can't say since we've never done one. I mean, just the amount of time. I do believe also in law, don't quote me, but I think it has to be done at the precinct level. So, you have your precinct workers or your poll workers that are there from 7 to 7. I believe the hand count has to be done there before they come to our office if you're going to hand count. Like I said, don't quote me, but just getting the people and the time and
If we're not going to do it, I think we owe it to the general public to really explain why we're not going to do it.
yeah. And I would refer to either Sabrina, the auditor, or our election
Correct.
supervisor to.
Mr. Chair?
Okay, yep, Commissioner.
Yeah, and again, I'm kind of leaning to what Commissioner Roskinek said. What would it take us to do a hand count on the governor's race? And so I'm leaning toward, I would actually, because we have these conversations and people come forward and it's been talked about for years. And so that would be, again, a follow-up for Jordan to see what is required and what would it take for us to do a hand count on the governor's race.
Could I comment on that real quickly, on a hand count?
We'll have the conversation offline. You could get a hold of Jordan over here, so, and then, because we're gonna work with the auditor's office to see what that might entail. So we're gonna move on now to, thank you. We're gonna move on to the 2027 budget, Western Dakota Regional Water System. Kristen Conza, hi Kristen, if you wanna. Yep, come forward and just give your name and then
Either one.
informational presentation.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Kristen Conzett. I am with the Executive Director of Western Dakota Regional Water System. I come before you today to give you an update. A few things that I'd like to cover today is what your investment has accomplished, where we are federally, and why continued support now matters more than most. 5 years ago, Cheryl Chapman came to you with the concept of Western Dakota Regional Water. And that concept has flourished moving forward. We have 52 members that are currently.
Excuse me. Hey, guys. I want to keep, all right. Go ahead. Kristen, you have the floor.
Can I move the slides forward? Yes, sorry. Yep.
Excuse me.
I believe she was presenting public comment.
I'll get you set up here.
Okay.
And so that needs to be explained.
Yeah, so if, Jordan, we've moved on from public comment, so, and I didn't let the other lady comment. I'm not letting anybody else comment either. We got a presentation going here, so if we respect our presentation.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you should be able to flip between slides that way. Does that work?
And will it come up on the screens?
I will make it come up on the screen. Yes.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
All right, perfect. We have 52 members currently across western South Dakota. We have completed 5 years of engineering and pre-feasibility work. We have identified the preferred intake, and we'll go into a little bit on how we got to that choice at Lake Oahe. We have developed the conceptual design, and what I want to say most importantly is that, like it or not, Pennington County and Rapid City are looked in western South Dakota as the leaders. And your support of Western Dakota Regional Water has set a precedence to bring other members on. I do have counties, when I give the presentations, ask me who was all included, and those are the first two that most members considering coming on board ask me about. We are run by a board of directors. Over the past 5 years, a majority of the board has stayed intact by choice, even when they do step down from their position serving as you do in a public capacity. You helped build Western Dakota Regional Water as the county largest supporter. If you look at this map right now, this is actually not completely accurate. We do have a few more dots. That is our footprint right now. Now you'll notice that Ogallala and Todd County and the tribals are not members. We do have 2 seats on our board currently. We've had a little bit with the presidency that changes over on the board. We're working on getting them re-engaged because I think it's imperative that we have our tribal nations involved. This I like to throw in. This shows you drinking water systems throughout the entire state. If you look at the eastern half of the state, it's pretty well laid out. But if you look at the western half of the state, you know, it's kind of a blue blob over the Black Hills. One thing I would like to note here is that in order to have a dot on this chart, you have to have a well capacity that is in conjunction to be classified with the state. So I believe it's under a 19 customers or taps that you do not have to register for the state. We've identified over about 4,300 wells that do not register with the state that are not on this map. So what that is those are punches down into the aquifer. The Madison and the Metallusa is what we're primarily talking about today. When we get questions about the water, we investigated 3 primary accesses to the Missouri River water. We looked above the dam, we looked between the dam and Fort Pierre, and we looked on the east side of the dam over, it's still on Core property. And there is enough capacity. If you look at the top, even at the lowest flow recorded ever, and the lowest flow recorded ever in Sioux City and Bismarck, we're taking 0.1 ounce per gallon out of the Missouri River. We've worked with the Corps. We know that there isn't going to be any effect on recreation at all in the Missouri River. The Missouri River, when it is between our borders, it is ours. It is our greatest natural resource. And I will tell you right now, our greatest natural resource is endangered. And I don't mean to sound catastrophic in that, but if you look at lower states, specifically Missouri in this instant, they use it for transportation. So they are there's usually legal battles that go on to try to prevent any water from coming out of the Missouri River. But there is legislation in states in Arizona, in New Mexico, and potentially in Colorado that are looking to pipeline over to the Missouri River. So that's why I say, while it's between our borders, it is a fact. It is our greatest natural resource. Emphasis on ours. I'm going to show you a little bit more about the transmission, but I wanted to give you a federal update because we made leaps and bounds since we came last year. In order to move forward with this project, we have to partner with the federal government. Not my favorite entity to partner with, but it is necessary. And in order to do that, we had to have an act of Congress to allow the Bureau of Reclamation out of Bismarck to come down and do a 5-stage process called a feasibility study. Now, the feasibility study, it's economic, it's financial, it's environmental. It talks about several things to make sure, is this even feasible? So we have to have an act of Congress. Thune and Rounds dropped it. It has made it to the Senate floor. It's gone through the process over the last 3 months, which was very rapid. In the House, Johnson dropped it, and it's made it through energy up to the main committee of Energy and Natural Resources. So we're waiting for that to be dropped in the House, on the House floor, and we're anticipating that we're trying to get the vote to go through before the August recess. So we're working with our delegation diligently. And that also means working with the Bureau of Reclamation, the Department of Interior, all of those entities. These are the two bills that I just referenced, and here's where we're at. It does include a $10 million appropriation on both of those acts on the federal level. Now, it comes down to who pays for that. Is it the Bureau of Reclamation or is it Congress? And as of right now, it would go under the Bureau of Reclamation's annual appropriations. Now, with that comes a matching component. So what we have done is taken your investment and the state's investment, and we've done as much of the pre-feasibility study as we can. So we've gotten the price down a lot lower than that, and we're going to work with the Bureau of Reclamation to take the investments that the state has made and that you have made to match the component. We're looking at right now roughly about $5 to $7 million is at the top, so there would be a $5 to $7 million matching component. But through your support and through the state support, we've used that money. We're going to use that money as the matching component, so there wouldn't be any further cost. Now, why your support matters now. I'm not telling you anything that I haven't talked about before. It strengthens federal credibility. It does vote in our favor when we had to go to Congress and talk about that in Pennington County, that we have a footprint with not only Ellsworth Air Force Base, but we do have tribal nations that their property isn't on here, but we do have a lot of tribal members that are in Pennington County. It positions us for success, as I stated, because people do inquire if Pennington County and Rapid City are involved in this. And it does help leverage outside funding. So I'm going to state to you in layman's terms what the problem is. Projected water demand over the next 50 years. I had them break it down into, didn't want to talk about acre feet or those type of things. At the 1% growth, we use 15 gallons of water of that 20. And as we know, our population is increasing quite a bit more than the 1%. We had two things that happened that increased it. We had a governor that said that we're open for business, and then the investment into Ellsworth Air Force Base. We are edging up to roughly 1.5% growth. And as soon as we get to that 2% growth, we will be required to have 24 gallons, which is over what we have allotted now. And if we get to 3% growth, we will need 40 gallons to service our needs. Now, this is a study that kicked it off. The School of Mines and Technology, West Dakota Water Development District asked for a study. If you look at the three orange lines, it's talking about the 1% growth, the 2% growth, and 3% growth. They came back and said not only should you, look at your water allocations, but if there was any type of drought that came in, and we're talking drought we're in the drought now. We're in a drought now. And if you look at it, that we're between the 1% and the 2%. Our calculations that we have based this asking on was merely based on the 1%. So that would clarify, I'd like to clarify a point for you. Our information, our engineering, our science is based on population. It is not based on industry, because I get that question a lot about data centers. So that's a separate question, and we don't have a point either way on that. We are merely here to bring reliable water to western South Dakota and all of the constituents. This is a study because we wanted a third party to come in and verify all of the facts that we came up with. So we engaged USGS, and they came in particular, if you look at the red area, those are water permits that are currently issued where the natural recharge of the major aquifers do not meet that need. So when we get into a drought and you have water permits, You can go up to the maximum, but the natural recharge is not filling those aquifers as quickly as the water will be taken out. I like to put this one in. If you look at the Madison, particularly, I mean the purple line, if you look back to let's just say 1985, we were at roughly, I believe it was 15,000 acre feet, and that's how you measure water, is an acre foot. If you look at it now, the Madison on acre feet, we're at 69,080 acre feet. So there is a huge jump in there. And these are the projections that we are looking at. When we engaged in the study to back up the third party to verify, are we on the right track or are we not on the right track? We are definitely on the right track. We have several things that, I'm going to tell you about the pipeline from the Oahe Dam to north of Rapid City. It's 165 miles. It's a 2,000-foot lift. It's a 71-inch pipe. The reason for the size of the pipe, if you refer back to Lewis and Clark. Lewis and Clark was started 40 years ago. They just finished. Lewis and Clark is now moving on for appropriation for a phase 2. The pipe wasn't large enough. And what we're looking at is the pipeline would come north of Rapid City, and then it would spider off or truncate off to our members. Here's the solution that I just was talking about. You saw this before about how much we're going to be taking out, 0.1%. And here's a visual. Now, if you look at the pipeline, the transmission line that we've done, we've kept the yellow line pretty vague because we are not at the phase where we start working with landowners. But do know that we are working with the power community. They have a great relationships with the landowners. And so when it comes to that point, we intend to do right by the landowners, just as the power industry has done right by the landowners. And that's just a general, we've got the 5 lift stations. It's north of Fort Pierre. We tried to keep it cost effective, keep it on current county roads, so we wouldn't have to impede anything on landowners. And this is what we're looking at for the distribution system. We are looking at, if you look, it goes all the way from Fort Pierre. Pierre just joined because they perceive that there is going to be a water issue in the future for them. We go on down into Winter, Tripp County, we go over into Martin, and then as you see, everything truncates off north of the Rapid City area. And we'll get a more detailed report to you as they come out. This is just interesting because this shows the lift. If you look at the number 2, that's the Cheyenne River Valley, or WASTA. And so it gives you an idea of what the lift that we are going to, is going to have to happen. But no, this is not an engineering problem. We can get the engineering done. As we know, it's going to be a financial problem. And that's where I'm asking for your support again this year. Now, if we look at future funding, I want to lay this out. Your support has been from 22 to 26, and we have gotten quite far moving forward. Once we get the feasibility study or the act of Congress, we're going to be looking at something that's called our advocacy period. So it would be 27 through 28 when we would start the feasibility, assuming that we've gotten that, and we're pretty positive that we're going to get it. And what I need from you and from the state, so from members and from the state, is to partner with us through the feasibility era. Now, since we've already done a lot of the pre-feasibility study work, a feasibility study normally takes 5 years. Because we've invested that money diligently, we're going to be able to cut that feasibility study down to an estimated 18 months to 2 years. Because we want to fast track as quickly as we can getting into project construction and advocacy. Now, I want to show you what the investment has been over since 2023. We did receive the ARPA money from the state. That was $10 million. So we took, as I said, all of that money and invested it in the solution. We're not a fancy nonprofit. We don't have galas or things along that line. But what that allowed us to do by investing that money, the state's money, it was allow to keep, if you look at the yellow, that's the swarms, that's the state waters investment. But it allowed us to keep the green, which are the member fees and contributions, such as you make. It allowed us to keep that as a low investment with high return. So we've invested all of the money in the solution, and there's been minimal investment, not minimal, but important, but we've kept it low so it could be afforded by all people that want to join. Now, if you look into 2027 and 2028, we have done projections, we've done the math. We are going to be raising, and this does not apply to you, Pennington County, because I consider you're one of the big 6 that support us. But we are, the top membership is $1,500. Next year, with our projections, we will be raising that $250. And that, after we've spoken with a lot of our members, individual memberships will not go up. Class 2 memberships will go up $75. So we're once again keeping that low on our member investment. So this is the milestones where we're at. If you look at the area or at the arrow, that's the current stage. And then everything to the right is what we are still going to be accomplishing in the next year. So I'm asking for your continued investment and support. It has meant, like I said, you are the foundation when we go out and do asks. So the long-term perspectives, of course, is to protect the water supply, support economic growth, provide stability for future generations. What we're doing now is we must react. Science has given us every reason in engineering that we must react now, so future generations don't have to react. All right, so I will open it up for questions.
Thank you, Kristen. Commissioner?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
I don't necessarily have a question, but Kristen, I want to just thank you and your predecessor, Cheryl Chapman, for all the work that's gone into this and the progress that's been made to date. And I know that you guys, along with your engineering firms, have done a lot of work, including your recent travels to DC relative to getting the environmental stuff put together. But to me, this is critical for our future for Western South Dakota. It's no different than it was 40 years ago for Eastern South Dakota, for Lewis and Clark. And as we see, it took a long time for that to develop. Now you're talking about a phase 2 for them over there. And part of that reason is that they didn't have enough sign up initially that were in need of water or didn't recognize what their need would be in 25, 30, 35 years. And so now they're needing the additional water. That's why it's so important for those in Western South Dakota to take notice and to make sure that they're aligned with what their needs may be and get signed up with the Western Dakota Water District at this point in time. So thank you for your work on it.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Durr.
Chair.
Commissioner Durr, Commissioner Ross.
Chair.
I'll let Deb talk first.
Deb wants.
Deb is on line.
She's on the line?
Yep.
Hey, Deb, you got
Yeah.
something to say?
Thank you. Can you tell me, Ms. Conzett, what is the federal update on Senate Bill 3723 and House of Representative Bill 7288 on the feasibility study appropriations?
The update for the bills is that it is just come out of, in the Senate, the Energy and Natural Resources, and it's headed to the Senate floor. In the House, it has, it is scheduled to be heard by Energy and Natural Resources. I had to go out and testify for Fisheries, Wildlife, and Water on the behest of Congressman Johnson to state our case. It got out of that committee. It went to the next committee, or the next group, which would have been the judicial, to make sure that we were in compliance. And then it went through the appropriations, or they call it the markup committee. It's where they sit around, I shouldn't say that, sit around. It's where they amend the bill. And we had to make some concessions there to meet the Bureau of Reclamation's statutes, but now we're waiting for it to be assigned, to go to Energy and Natural Resources in the House and go to the House floor. And Commissioner...
Okay, so is it two different appropriations? So there's a $10 million appropriation from the Senate, and then there's a different appropriation from the House?
No, it's a joint appropriation.
Is it the same? Of $10 million?
Yes, it is. It's capped at 10 million if you look at the verbiage. And we actually put in the ask for 5 million, but those above me at the federal level wanted to put a cap of 10 million.
Thank you. Commissioner.
Okay, and then you have 5.4 million that you've gotten already from, or what is the blue line for? Because you have a blue, yellow, and green in 2026. Green is 220. Yeah.
Okay, the blue line would be the state. We receive ARPA funds when the state, and it was 100 million that was dedicated to water, and we received 10 million of it to explore and start up Western Dakota.
Okay, so you're getting 10 million from feds, and then you're getting 10 million from the state, or?
No, they're separate. Yeah, they are separate. The ARPA money has to be spent by November 30th of this year. And anything that we do not...
And you spent 5.4.
We're going to be spending 5.4, and anything that we do not spend will be returned to the state water, Department of Ag, and they must reallocate it out to water projects.
Okay. And you're not going to be able to use that for the feasibility study and get that done before August or in the fall? To be able to
Well, what we've done is
use the whole thing.
what we've done is we've invested that 10 million that we received in the state, completing as much of the feasibility study as we can. So when the Bureau of Reclamation comes in, we can slide it across the desk to them, and that will be the state and our members' investment to the matching component.
Okay, so you haven't spent the 10 million, you only spent 5.4, and the bottom line is, if there's anything left over, and you say there is going to be or there isn't going to be.
We're going to try to use the resource as much as possible.
Okay, but you still need the other money from the counties and the other investors, because that's going to be different how that's appropriated.
Well,
you see what I'm saying? Because if you see, there's money left over from the ARPA. Is it because you still need the investment from us? For what reason? If you have basically 4-point-something million left.
The money has to be, the ARPA money has to be spent, and so it all has to be returned by November 30th. We've got the budget down to within $100, so we will spend that to take on all the fees and the costs normally that would be done in the feasibility study. We want to get ahead of it, and so we're investing that money in getting the feasibility study done. Now, after the money is...
So you're using our money... Sorry.
Yeah.
So you're using our money to invest for the future, and you're using their money to invest now, even though you're not going to use all their money.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
So I guess what I'm saying is you have $10 million, but you're having other people, basically there's 800,000 of other money, remember the green and the yellow money?
Yes.
But you have ARPA funds. I guess I'm not getting that, but you might not use all the other ARPA funds. You're still using all of our money. Does that make sense for your startup and pre-feasibility study?
Well, the ARPA money had to... I'm sorry. The ARPA money is restricted, and it had to go directly towards the water study, the pre-feasibility components. The investment from members and from the state is what I would call more unrestricted, and that is used for numerous things, including the science, but my majority of it is used for unrestricted purposes.
Okay, so it'd be nice in the future maybe to see the unrestricted and the restricted and what that is used for, you already know, for budget purposes for us, and also to see basically what our investment is used for, honey.
Well, I did a little bit go over what I can get more in depth. I can get that information to you. Your investment has gone into the science and the engineering, but there are, we have to keep the lights on also. So there are some, I can give you a list of the non-restricted. That's fine. And if you look into 27 and 28, we will not have ARPA money at that time, so we'll be relying on the state and to our members to keep us moving forward.
Okay, thank you, Kristen.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commission?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Roskinek,
I'm
sir.
not going to get into the dollar signs too much, but I think everybody in this room can agree that sooner or later, we're going to have a water problem. The only thing we don't know is when it's going to happen. I mean, it's already happening, but.
Right.
And my concern is that our second largest industry in the state of South Dakota is agriculture, or tourism. And I don't know how many thousands of rooms there are in the Black Hills, but without water, we're not going to have tourism. And I'm all for being proactive instead of reactive. I'm glad your group exists, because if it didn't exist, I don't know, it'd be a train wreck down the road somewhere. So thank you for your support in this project. And I think on the county level, it's a wise investment.
Thank you. I'm going to leave one thing. When we did engage USGS, we asked them to look as far back in water records as they could. They actually went a step further. They went back 700 years. And how they did that, tree rings. And they talked about, they documented out for us droughts. Now, the drought of the Dirty 30s was a blip, was nothing compared to the drought. But the interesting fact that came out is that we are in a drought every 80, an extensive drought, every 80 to 85 years. We're in year 83. So hopefully Mother Nature will prove us wrong and keep us flowing, but appreciate your comments, sir.
Thank you for the presentation. Water is very important to our industry and to our community here, obviously. Years ago, when I was on the city council, we retained a lot of water rights at Pactola, and at the time, people quite didn't understand it, but today they do. So I see that same thing happening here, that retaining the water rights out of the river just makes sense. So,
Mr. Chair.
Yep.
So how many blue dots did you, western, south, or in the Black Hills area?
Well, if you look at...
No, the point that I'm making is I got a water system, and it's one of those blue dots. I have to submit a water report to the state each year, so.
That's probably on the chemical end of it, when you have to submit. The blue dots right now, we're looking at that have to report because they're over so many connections.
Well, we're over 100, so we're part of the system.
Right,
so
right.
I
But
can
underneath
realize-
that, there's 400 and some that are under that threshold. So it would really be a big blue blob.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Dirk.
It's a great presentation, appreciate it. And yeah, it's a worthy investment. I'm just going to comment, about the future in the water. Just talking to some of my neighbors around where I live, that some of the wells that have been sustaining livestock for decades in this year are not able to keep up and going dry. And so even in the limited moisture we've had in the current drought that we're in, because it's more than a year drought that we've had, it's impacting, our water source is impacting already. There's a lot of concern in the ag community about, water in the future, getting back to, what does this support? But yeah, and if you don't have water, you don't have anything, so.
I am working with the Cattlemen's Association and the South Dakota Stock Growers. So we're looking at how do we get water out to our agricultural community.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, and we appreciate your time and the update. So it's a no action item for us, so we're going to move on. And
Yeah, just a comment. I do believe, Jordan, that when we do go through the budget hearing, just so you know, as we go through our budget hearing, I believe, we'll have a conversation about this, but I do believe you have the commission support in the 50,000, so.
Thank you, sir.
thank you. Next item, items from the auditor. You're back.
Casey Island, Chief Deputy Auditor. The Marina at Sheridan Lake LLC has applied for a new retail on-off sale wine and cider license that I'm just needing approval for.
Well, thank you. So I'll look for a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Durr and a second from Drews to approve the cider license at the Sheridan Lake Marina. It's very important for Commissioner Roskinek. So
Absolutely.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, Casey. Mr. Purcell, items from buildings and grounds. Surplus decoration for emergency warning sirens. I think
Yep. Good morning, Commissioners. Davis Purcell, Director of Buildings and Grounds for Pennington County. It's a pretty straightforward surplus declaration here for the emergency warning sirens. Two of these sirens were affected in our December 2025 wind event. And the third one will be taken down fairly soon here. Emergency management is replacing these three sirens in the foreseeable future here. So really today's request is just to get them surplused, authorize the online auction, and we'll get them sold. So I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you. My wife wants one of these to wake me up.
It'll do more than wake you up, so.
So we have a motion on the floor?
Mr. Chair, I'm going to move to declare the following federal signal thunderbolt 1000 AT emergency warning sirens as surplus property and authorize staff to advertise and sell the items through an online auction. WR3 South Canyon, asset number 000171. ER2 North Middle School, former asset 1275, and ERS Robbinsdale School, former asset 000173.
Second.
We have a motion from Durr and a second from Drews. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Items from planning and zoning is 9:30, so we're good. Regular planning items. These are regular items, not irregular, so.
Correct.
Just for 9A, so that's what it's.
Okay. 9A. So go ahead, Brittany, you have the floor.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brittany Ham, Planning Director. Item 9A is the first reading and public hearing of Ordinance Amendment OA 25-16 for Pennington County. It's to amend Section 317 Alternative Energy. So staff is recommending approval of this first reading. This first reading includes the motions from the board from the previous meeting regarding the prohibition of the battery energy storage systems and the update to the setbacks.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I've got if you'd pull up, Jordan, I had Cody go out with me and we photographed the solar plant around New Underwood, if you'd pull that up. So a few weeks ago, Cody Wiseman from our office, we went out and these are some of the photographs. And, and again, if you look at this, you can see it from the interstate, but more importantly, if you kind of get an overall view, you can just scroll through these, Jordan. At the scope of what this looks like out on, native prairie ground out in the county, and it's pretty vast. And I've said it before, the issue I have with this one is just about how this development, this plant surrounds New Underwood and is limiting, the opportunity for, let's just say, residential growth around New Underwood. No one is going to want to develop in that community and be next to a facility like this. And it goes from the, north and east to around the north and west side of New Underwood. And so if you just look at the scope, this is something, that I've talked about. I've got a memo on here, but I mean, we've discussed this, at many meetings for the last, 2 years really before I got on the commission and going back a solid, year and a half. But if you look at the scope of this project, and that's what, the people that live in my district and the people of Eastern Pennington County, it's a clear choice that they do not want these facilities in our communities. And New Underwood is a community wherein, what we need is a former school board member. We need families to move in. We need bodies in our school district. We need kids and families to support the community. And this is limiting that opportunity for that type of growth and that tax base to come in. So I also, I had, in fact, on this one, I didn't go out. I just had Cody go out. I went out on the Sunset Ranch, but I had Cody go out and do this one. And then we have a video just to get an aerial view as to what it looks like. So.
Chair.
Yeah, hold on a second. Commissioner Hadcock, go ahead.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank all the people that were involved in the last 2 years with the planning department, the people on the committee that stepped forward and also didn't agree with a lot of the stuff that was put in the ordinance in the first place, went back on their own, looked it up for, almost a year to change what it is today. That was basically Eileen Peterson, Jerry Mader, and Lindsay Mader. They have been on this ordinance and this alternative energy committee for over a year, plus we're involved with the planning commission all the way up till now. So getting credit where credit is due, this would have happened without those three and their persistence in protecting New Underwood and the eastern part of Pennington County. So I'm glad this came to fruition for the large scale and the battery storage and some of the things that would protect not only that district, but many districts for what's going to happen in the future with large scale wind and solar products. So I'd like to make sure we give credit to everybody that was helpful in making this happen. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner.
To be consistent with my previous votes on this, I will be opposed to this ordinance strictly from the standpoint that I believe that it's over-restrictive. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Roskinek.
The one thing, I can't support this either, but I do totally agree with Jerry. I've looked at those photos and that plant that I see by New Underwood. I think that was totally a wrong spot to put it. There are other spots between here and the county line to the east that are very barren, and they would probably be more conducive to this type of operation. What I don't understand is that for over a year, there was a committee of all the stakeholders, and it seemed like they almost came to an agreement that, hey, this will work. And then all of a sudden, I just see a year that we didn't really have to get together if we're going to end up with the result that we have today. So I'll just be kind of glad that it's over, but I'm with Commissioner Drews. I can support a lot of it, but I can't support certain segments of it.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner.
Chair.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the first reading of OA 2516.
Okay, I got a speaker request for him too, so should we put the motion on the floor? So we have
We can get a second for discussion.
Yep.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Durr and a second from Hadcock for discussion. And Eileen Peterson, you have filled out a speaker request for him, so I'll bring you to the front. You have 3 minutes, Eileen.
Eileen Peterson, and thank the commissioners for this opportunity again. I read through the ordinance. I've only found 3 things of concern for me. In the setbacks, one of them was missed, and I think at the last time we discussed it, the council decided to accept all of the setbacks I'd submitted and the one for electrical substations for solar energy systems got left out. It should have been the same as the one for the wind energy. And I also think the last time we met and discussed this, we talked about adding a definition for infrasound to the definitions.
I saw that too. I saw that was missing.
And it did not get put in. My third concern is the acceptable reclamation bonding types. On page 13 of the ordinance, it said decommissioning fundings may be maintained or shall be maintained in the form of a performance bond, a surety bond, bank letter of credit, stable parent company guarantee, or other form of financial assurance. And I think we should restrict them to performance bonds, escrows, or trust accounts. A letter of credit to me means nothing to me. And a stable parent company guarantee, when you're dealing with LLCs, we have no idea if there is a parent company, let alone a stable parent company. So I would just suggest tightening up the types of performance bonding that would be acceptable. And that is all I have to say.
Thank you, Eileen.
Mr. Chair.
So Commissioner Roskinek, sir.
I guess the last thing I want to say is that it's my understanding that with this new Section 317, that if you're going to have these operations, they have to be in a piece of land zoned heavy industrial. Is that correct?
Brittany, can you come forward?
Yes.
Brittany. you got the
Commissioner
floor.
Roskinek,
So
you
now
are correct, yes.
Okay, so, and I understand Jerry wanting to protect his district. My district's the Black Hills, and our largest economy is tourism. And we have mining. And I would suggest that if we're going to do this, that if we're going to have mining in the Black Hills, that land's got to be zoned heavy industrial, just the same thing that we're doing with these wind and solar plants. I mean, that's just, if we're going to be equal, treat each district the same and protect our economy and our best interests. I mean, I'm just throwing that out. That's never going to happen, but that's kind of, I have a lot of people that don't want mining around Pactola and Deerfield and other places. And we just went through that over there by Rochford. And if we're going to have it, then why can't the land be zoned heavy industrial, just so that everybody's on an equal playing field?
What is it for
Chair.
mining? Hold on, I'm asking Brittany a question. Brittany, what is mining? What is the mining requirement for?
So the minimum requirement for mining is 40 acres in agriculture.
And that's because of gravel pits, basically, or is there differences?
Correct.
Okay.
There's some different federal guidelines because of mining. So there's the Mining Act of 1812. So there's some other
we have laws that are above us
nuances.
that we have to abide by, so we couldn't change them if we wanted to.
Those were considered when we did work on the mining ordinance.
Commissioner Hadcock, did you have something to say? You were chiming in.
Yeah, well, number one, the mining on the gravel pits and stuff, it's different than the hard rock mining. If you're looking for hard rock mining, it might be different than gravel. We can look into that, or Commissioner Roskinek, since he wants to look at that, he can look into that if he'd like. But for this ordinance, the infrasound was supposed to be in there, and the performance bond wasn't supposed to be all those alternative. It was the trust and the escrow, just to make sure that there was no parent companies that could backside what was going to happen, because even the Wild Springs has changed its name 3 or 4 times with the LLCs. So I don't know at that time if any of those performance bonds or any otherwise would be considered to be able to use for the decommissioning at that time. The other issue was when we did the committee for the large scale and what was the other word? Residential or alternative energy. Those 4 on that committee did not agree with what was happening on the ordinance of 317. So that's why the changes have been made, and that's why that has been brought forward, is because those changes weren't made. There was no vote or anything to change any of that. It was just put in there. So it went through a year, which probably should have had some voting and some other stuff done differently, and they never talked about battery storage on there either. So some of this needed to be vetted a little bit different, but the bottom line is that it came out where I believe at this time it should have came out with the major area for industrial, and that the comprehensive plan was changed, the 2040 plan, and that also that the alternative energy ordinance needed to be changed constructively for large scale. And I think it came out on those committee members that were trying to vet that process during that time, I think appropriately. Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor. So let's talk about the motion.
Discussion. Are you going to catch some of those? Did you Because the motion we made was to adopt those setbacks, so did you miss a couple?
Correct. There was just one on page 19 for the electrical substations under the utility SES, so with that amended.
All right.
And the
And you'll make those
Ultra
corrections
Sounder.
for the second reading?
Correct.
All right, thank you.
So,
Thank you.
all right, we're ready to vote here, so let's do a roll call vote.
Wyffenbach,
Aye.
Hadcock,
Aye.
Roskinek,
Aye.
Nay.
Dur,
Aye.
Drews.
Nay.
So motion carries 3-2. So move on to the next item.
And, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, Brittany, when will the second reading be?
Yes, it's the first meeting in July 6th, I believe.
7th.
7th?
July 7th.
July 7th.
July 7th is the second meeting. Okay, move on to item B. Ordinance Public Nuisance, Brett Olson. So is Dwayne here and then? Hey, Dwayne. Dwayne, you have the floor, so.
Yes, this is it.
I think the name's just wrong on it.
Oh, okay. Wrong on that one. My fault on that one. So this one is Brett Olson. Violation is built a garage without a building permit. I guess I missed Dwayne Allen, Ordinance Enforcement Officer from Planning and Zoning. And that does not meet setbacks on Nameless Cave Road.
So when you say did not meet the setbacks, setback is 25 feet, and what did he build the building at?
The original building permit was for a carport.
Oh.
The carport, I believe, was installed. However, a garage went up after that point. Setback at that time was supposed to be 30 feet for the carport. Then the garage was built, and I got a complaint that it did not meet the setbacks, and there was a garage being built without a permit. That's what the violation was that I went out on. And it's been ongoing since then. We have asked the landowner to get a survey because we have to know exactly how many feet that building is from the property line. That has still yet to be done. And it's kind of why we're here today. It's because it's been going on now for a couple of years.
Looks like it started in January of 2024.
Yes, sir.
So it's actually 2.5 years.
So Cody Sack, senior planner. So there's actually 2 violations on the property. So Dwayne was talking about the garage built without the building permit, like he said. It was just supposed to be a carport, which is open-sided, which is what the applicant put down on his building permit application. However, you can see it's an enclosed garage. It's actually a garage. So it needs to be a totally different permit, but we can't issue him a permit because it doesn't meet the setbacks. So he has to he was given the option to either remove the garage or apply for a variance to go in front of the board for the variance, which requires him to talk to a surveyor so we know exactly how far it is. Dwayne was out there because the neighboring property had her property line surveyed. So Dwayne did some approximate measurements. It looks like from the back side of that garage, it's 23 feet, and from the front side, it's 19 feet. But we would need a survey to actually be able to issue him the variances that or to apply for the variances that he needs. And then he actually came in and talked to us a couple of years ago about this. And at the time we mentioned dirt work, 'cause he had some dirt work going on his property. He told us that he was under 10,000 square feet, and I told him if he kept going and got close to get the permit, even if he was close, because then if a neighbor or someone called, we could say that he had a permit and he was able to do the work. He's never applied for the permit. As you can see, he's at approximately 12,000 square feet of disturbance, which is over the 10,000 square feet, so he does need the stormwater permit as well.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Roskinek.
my question would be, the permit was for a carport, and now there's a garage. So what's the property assessed at? Is that being assessed as a carport or a garage, or would you even have that?
I guess I don't even.
That's another question that I would have.
I don't
because-
know. Sorry to interrupt. I don't know what it would be assessed at. I can talk to the equalization office for it, but a carport is very different than a garage. So they tax it and assess it differently. So I can find out for you.
Does that have a concrete floor?
I guess I don't.
That I am not sure of. I know Mr. Olson is here in the audience today.
Okay, just throwing
And we
that
also
out.
think we have a speaker request from the neighbor also.
Yeah, Wendy Cummings. If you're here, Wendy, you want to come forward, we're going to.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I had a question.
Commissioner
So
Dirksen.
is the setback for both of those, the front and the back, would be 25 or?
Yeah, so he's zoned agriculture, so he'd have to maintain a 25-foot setback from all lot lines.
And they're 19 and 23?
Approximately. We're not surveyors, so.
The neighbor had a survey, right? Yeah.
Correct, she did. So Dwayne did some measurements based off of that, but they're not official measurements, but it does appear that he's definitely within inside that 25 feet.
Okay. And then you guys have asked this guy on several occasions to get a permit, go through the variance process, whatever. I mean, he got a permit to build a carport, built a garage, paid no attention to the setbacks. This has been going on for 2 years?
2 or 3, I believe you got
Over
the
2.
building.
It said January 2024
Right.
on the top slide.
And another note on this too, while the garage was being built, I did make a visit because I got notified that the building was still being worked on. I did go out, talk to the person working on the building at the time, told them they needed to stop construction at that time because there was no permits for it.
Right. Is that a
And they
formal,
continued.
process where you do a cease and desist or
I
red tag or
didn't
whatever?
take a letter out to them that day. I went out myself and just personally talked to the contractors and told them they needed to cease, and they just continued to work.
Okay, let's hear from Wendy real quick. Wendy Cummings, are you here? Do you want to come forward, Wendy, and state your name? And you got 3 minutes, Wendy, so.
Good morning. My name is Wendy Cummings, and I've lived at my setting at 6580 for 31 years. I've never spoke before this board before, and I don't have knowledge in the planning and zoning, but I have taken upon myself to try to address what I can as a neighbor. And so I looked up under the highway, it's permits and ordinances. They've mentioned a couple things, but I have a couple more I wanted to bring up. And it was under the permits and ordinances of the Pennington County Highway Department, it references excavation within public right-of-way. Ordinance 11, Section 102, policy, it is unlawful for any association, corporation, firm, partnership, person to make or excavation or installation of any utility in or below or over or across any Pennington County right-of-way without first applying for and obtaining a permit. It is also unlawful to perform any excavation, alteration, modification, or other ground disturbance activity that may change the nature of the right-of-way. I should have started out with, I brought pictures, but I'll give them to you at the end that reference what I'm speaking about. So there's also, under the county highway, a permit application. If you're going to use that right-of-way for any purpose, you must fill out that permit. And I don't believe that's been done, and the right-of-way is definitely being used from one end of the front of the property to the other end for both parking and big, large rock at the end. I have pictures to show those things. Anyway, back to the county highway also must address approach permits. I know that the superintendent submitted a letter with, it's the last page of Dwayne's report, and it references that they didn't have a concern regarding the approach permit. Well, I assume that the approach permit is what is referenced as the back entrance to Brett Olson's property, and he has greatly widened that. The county were out to remove trees under the power lines. There was a dead tree there they were going to remove. They told me that Brett asked them to remove the second live tree, which they did do. He then widened the back driveway or approach to include that right-of-way, and now that's used for parking. There is erosion off that side, which you'll see in my pictures. And that erosion is also under the ground disturbance of Ordinance 11. And then there's also Ordinance number 33 that references how you cannot put any glass, rocks, dirt, water, other articles within that right-of-way. My pictures will show you the right-of-way is filled.
Ms. Cummings, if you can wrap it up, your time's up.
Okay, I'll provide you my pictures.
I got one question for her.
Yeah.
So ma'am, does this, what he's doing, does that affect your property?
Yes.
And what manner does it?
I've had it surveyed 3 times, and you'll see that he parks a fifth wheel in the right-of-way, which he cannot remove without either running over my survey marker or taking it out. I have had Fisk surveyors out 3 times, and he's removed the markers as recently as June 5th.
Right, and that part, we don't control any civil style things. If you have an argument with him running on your property, whatever, you're gonna have to contact a lawyer or somebody to represent that fact. What we're dealing with is what Dwayne's bringing in front of us today, and that's the setbacks on the garage. Now, are you including anything on the right-of-way, Dwayne? Is there any conversation on that?
No, sir, that would be all highway.
Okay, I did talk to the highway department. Is Sean in here today? Sean, you want to come forward? So, my conversation was with the highway department, had no problem with the right-of-way, but Sean may say something different. So, Sean, can you explain? You've been out there, you've looked at this, and is there something that needs to be addressed by this commission?
Yeah, Sean Smith, Highway Department. We were out there about a month ago. There's nothing that's hindering our maintenance, our drainage, nothing that's been done that's currently in its state right now that's affecting our maintenance.
Okay, perfect.
As far as the right-of-way. And then as far as parking and all that in the right-of-way, until an official survey is done, that we can see the right-of-way boundary, that's undetermined. So for our standpoint, there's nothing that's hindering us.
Okay, thank you. So let's handle what we got in front of us right now, Dwayne. So you've given us some options here, so I'm going to open this up to the commission to.
Yeah, Mr. Olson here.
Yeah,
Yes, sir, Mr. Olson is here.
Brett Olson, are you here? Can you come forward, or you don't want to discuss this?
Mr. Olson.
Okay. Okay, you've been working on this for a couple of years, Brett. I can tell you our flavor for this has gone. So, you were requested a building permit. I'll kind of summarize this for you. You requested a building permit for a carport. You built a garage, and you didn't abide by the setbacks. They asked you to get a permit. You didn't get a permit. Is there any of that stuff that's not true?
Well, I think the information is not 100% correct.
Well, then tell us where he's wrong so we can.
Well, initially, when we did the carport, at the end of the 2 years, someone had come out from the county, and we explained that we were going to enclose it and that sort of thing, and they stated to us that, okay, just make sure that when you go in to get the permit finalized, that you need to switch everything up to let them know that it's going to be a garage rather than a carport.
Did you do that?
I haven't gotten to that, no.
Okay, that's all right. Were you aware of the setbacks that were?
Well, the problem with the setbacks is that the survey through the canyon cannot be done via GPS. And every time that Fisk has come out to do the survey for that adjoining land right there, he uses the GPS, and it's improper means and methods because you've got power lines that are directly above, you've got trees right next to it, so it gives you a false reading, and it can be multiple feet off on that issue. Now, I have several times, it doesn't show any record, but I have emails asking Dwayne, are there other options that we can look at, because you can't use the GPS that they're marking is incorrect. So if it's going to be incorrect, why am I spending the money on the survey to come out to give me an incorrect number on the property? If we go based upon the property lines that I bought the property on, my setback is 31 feet. That's what it was based upon in the first place.
So you have a survey
So
from
now
when you bought
it's
the property?
changed. She has had survey done in the meantime,
Right.
and that has changed.
Okay.
My argument with it, and the whole time, I've never been against applying for a variance or doing the work to figure out what the need is so we can fix this and be done with this issue. The survey is off. If I have survey done,
So
it's
you
going
have a
to be-
survey when you bought the property, what you just said?
survey that I got from the landowner.
Yeah, do you have that available?
Yeah.
Commissioner, what he has is a plat, it's not the survey.
Oh, okay.
So that's totally different.
Yeah, it's completely different, so.
That's right. They're using this property line curve
Here.
data, and they're stating that this is the actual property corner when this is track one right here. But that's the actual property line curve data. That's
Like a buck.
figure out
Yep,
the data.
Commissioner Hadcock. Okay.
Okay, so
I've got it.
we're talking about a survey, but he also needed a building permit. He went from a carport to a garage with no building permit. Your permit was for a carport, which expired in 2021.
Okay.
So they've been trying to have correspondence about this also. Of March 7th, they also sent a alleged ordinance violation for the garage setback. And that was done November 17th, 2025. So they've been dealing with Mr. Olson not following through. And then you have a neighbor lady, I forgot her name, I apologize, ma'am.
Miss Cummings.
She goes through and she looks up all this information and she figures it out. And she doesn't even have to take 2 years to do it. She figures it out, calls you guys. She's having a drainage problem on her property. She knows the setback. She finds a guy, which is Fisk, and she gets it done right away. So it's not making sense that Mr. Olson is telling these stories about this and that, about not knowing about drainage, not knowing that he's building a carport to a garage, and doesn't need a permit, doesn't follow through with anything he's supposed to do, can't say he can't find somebody to do it because it's a GPS issue. When a neighbor lady did exactly that, and he's telling her, well, I don't believe it, so I'm going to take your stakes out. I don't believe that's right. And these guys are surveyors that do this for permission. So at this point, I think we need to move forward on making Mr. Olson do a survey, figure out his garage setbacks, and move forward to changing whatever his zoning or whatever needs to be, and make sure he follows through, because it's been, 2 years, and he's done nothing.
Well, I
And
guess
the
if-
staff is probably frustrated. And to me, listening to this, it's frustrating to have us tell us things that aren't factual when we have detailed emails showing exactly what has been happening on his property, from a carport to a garage to a setback to drainage issues. So for me, I think we just need to follow through and make sure Mr. Olson does what he's supposed to, or move forward on litigation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Durr.
I'm going to make a motion to find that the property owner is in violation of Pennington County zoning ordinances, require the property owner to provide a survey showing distance from garage to property line, and apply for a variance. A building permit does not meet setbacks within 60 days.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion from Durr and a second from Ross Connect, so any discussion on that particular motion? So, All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay, opposed, same sign. Hearing none. Motion carries. You heard, we got 60 days to
Have a chance to review anything that she
we're
had
done.
stated?
We're done.
Even if the issue is even if, I mean, what she is saying, we're going to go off of what the staff is recommending and what their discussions are. We're not going to deal with that. But when the survey comes back, I personally would like to see when the survey comes back how it impacts our right-of-way. Because again, even if the highway department says it's not an issue with the right-of-way, we have a responsibility to make sure that our right-of-way is cleared and not being utilized.
So if we have the survey, and I think your neighbor used Fisk surveying also, and that's who you were trying to use. So.
You can't what
What they do before GPS, they have other options.
That would be my comment that
You don't set property corners with GPS. It's a legality issue.
I'm not sure.
Brett, figure out the right way to do it.
I've never removed actual survey markers. Anything that I've removed is a piece of lath that is stopping me from being able to get in and out of my access. I've never actually removed the pin itself or anything.
Commissioner Hackcock, hold on. Commissioner Hackcock, hold on.
Yep.
Hold on. Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's hard when we can't see. So if it's a stick in the ground that was put there by the surveyor, that's a marker. And it's not on your land. It's on her land. So, but that's a civil issue if you guys want to, go that route. But we're asking you to get the survey and then figure out what they want from you on the garage. You might have to take it down. I mean, you built it without a permit. You knew you had to have a permit to build a garage. There's no doubt about that. So we've made our decision so you can work with Dwayne and the planning commission to resolve it or do what you need to do.
Mr. Chair.
Make sense?
If it comes to the point we have to do a variance, I'm not going to probably oppose that, but we can't do a variance until we have the measurements. So we have to have that first.
I think they've asked you to do it on several occasions, and
Yes, and I've talked to Tyler at the state's attorney. I've told him what the issue is with it. And we've tried to come up with solutions, and I've presented them to Dwayne, I've presented them to Tyler. They keep kicking the can
Tyler, do you
back
want
and
to come
forth.
forward and resolve this? Because we've made our decision. We want the survey. If we want to look at doing a variance for this. I mean, we've asked, this has been going on for years, we're done. So go ahead.
Yeah, Tyler Sobczak, State's Attorney's Office. So where I had left it with Mr. Olson is I had a phone conversation with, I believe it was late March, early April, somewhere in that time frame. And at that point, he had proposed a, let's call it some sort of negotiation about whether we would have surveyors on staff, something along those lines, where we could initiate that survey for him due to the alleged GPS issues with the canyon. And I explored that with some folks, and it just wasn't feasible. And so, it's essentially came down to we're not going to expend taxpayer money for a private survey. That's really where it was left.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if the surveyors have a legitimate reasons for not doing it, they can type a letter that says they can't do it, and there should be an alternative. I mean, we can work on the alternatives, Mr. Wilson. But, I mean, just your word on saying it's not working anymore here. So if you can get something typed up from them that says they can't do it, it's impossible, then obviously there has to be some sort of a different approach.
And my comment on that, if a surveyor writes a letter, I wouldn't want to use them.
Yeah.
If you can't do it without GPS.
I've never.
If the surveyor what? I didn't.
My comment on that is if a surveyor told me they could not survey anything without GPS and they were willing to put it in writing, I wouldn't use that surveyor.
So I would need a letter from a surveyor saying that GPS is not
I guess what we're saying is get it done, get the survey done.
Well, yeah, and I've never argued that point.
You just haven't got it done, though.
No, I haven't, because I've been trying to figure out a way to get it
Mr.
done
Chair.
without it costing.
Yeah, the mandate from the board is the mandate from the board is 60 days, sir. And so it's 60 days. Please get it done. If not, it'll be back on our agenda and we'll take further action. It will be on the agenda again to see how we've come along, so.
Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, thanks. All right, move on to the next item. Regular.
Okay, next item, Commissioners, Dwayne Allen again from Planning and Zoning.
All right.
This is a review of the Frank Mosier violation of the VHR without a license.
Okay.
Cody and I did do a site visit out there last Friday, and Cody has some things he'd like to talk about before Mr. Mosier comes up.
Yeah, so Cody Sack, Senior Planner. So I've been working with the Mosiers. They applied this morning for a multiple use permit, which is what they would need to help bring the property into compliance. When Dwayne and I were out for the site visit, they did have stickers from the electrical, the state inspector, and the plumbing inspector. I took a picture and showed those to David, our building inspector, and he said that they were good to go on that aspect. I know that was kind of a hold up too. So once we work through the multiple use permit with them, they'll be able to apply for their building permit to bring that structure into compliance with the building permit. David worked with them on some code stuff that they had this morning as well. That will be heard on the July 13th Planning Commission meeting. So they have been working with our office to come into compliance. So I believe that the recommendation said 30 days, but 30 days would put us right after that meeting, and there's that appeal period before they can actually apply for a building permit. So I'd probably say to give them 60 days, because then that appeal period would be over and they'd be able to apply for their building permit. So that's what my recommendation would be.
60 days is your, so they're actually working with you now?
Yep.
Because we've been dealing with this for a long time, right, too? They get their VHR license?
So they're working. Oh, sorry, they're working with their multiple use permit. They want to do some other things out there. So that's that VHR or rental. I don't know if it'll be considered a VHR. It'll be a rental. Will be included in that multiple use permit. So that'll help bring that.
And then so they built some of this or just remodeled some of it without a building permit?
So I believe that they purchased it this way with that structure structure in there from what I've been from what they've told me.
All right, that's a different approach.
Yep. So we've been working with them, and they've been working with me over the last few days to get it.
So what we're considering is to give them 60 days to. Frank's here. Do you want to speak, Frank?
Thank you. This has been a nightmare that we didn't anticipate when we bought this property. We have built nothing on this property. We purchased it this way, so the fact that there are no building permits for it, we had no idea. So it's created an extra long time to do this. And as you guys know, anytime you get a contractor involved, 60 days is awful short, just from getting on their calendar to get things done. So we appreciate the time that was given there, but at this point, we have a significant amount of money invested in the electrical contracting and the plumbing contracting that was done to bring it up to today's code, not the day it was built. But we'd appreciate whatever extension we can get to make sure that this is done the right way. We don't want to revisit this in 5 years. We want it done and not in your hair, not in our hair. We just want to use our property the best way that we can.
That makes 100% sense. And
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Durr's got the floor.
So, but again, getting back to this 60 days, before this ever got in front of the commission, this has been a long process and discussions. I mean, I had a meeting with you and planning staff, last year, last spring, actually, I believe, regarding trying to work on some of this and get it into compliance. And at that point in time, I asked if we were taxing the property appropriately. Basically, as the discussions came forward, I wanted to make sure what the planning department had on file with everything was the same as what equalization was assessing, because it was built without a building permit, not by you, but by previous owners. And so in that discussion, then we determined that equalization did not have a current record of these additional buildings on the property. to what degree. And so there was a discussion about having them to go out and do a site visit to coordinate it with you to get current information as to making sure that both sides of the house, planning and equalization, had the current property record. And it's my understanding that the equalization office went out there to do a kind of a site survey on this. And I learned information, and I want to talk about it to find out. Apparently, when they went out there, not all of the property was disclosed to them because apparently there was a false wall put up, a false wall, and that was not showing the full view of the property. And then that was discovered most recently. And Dwayne, I'd like you to speak to that.
When DOE came back out, or came back to the office, they had stated they found approximately 927 feet of finished space. That didn't match up with what the rental was showing on the online, because it was showing 2 bedrooms. They were coming back with 1 bedroom, 1 bath. We just started taking a closer look at some of the pictures and realized that one of the archways in one of the pictures was no longer there in another picture. So when we went back out on this one, Mr. Mosier did let us see the space behind that archway, which was originally the other bedroom and living room. Mr. Mosier measured it out for us, and I think it came out 38 by 38, which was 1,444 square feet total.
All right. So initially, we felt that a site survey told us we had 927 square feet, and we wound up with just shy of 1,500.
Correct, sir.
Okay. All right. And that would tie into the issue. And again, I'm assuming you didn't build that on. It was built that way when you bought the property, but yeah.
That's correct. It was built that way when we bought the property. We attempted by putting that wall up and saying, okay, we can't use that. So we put that wall up to segregate it, thinking we would turn the rest of that into my wife's crafting space and basically cold storage since there's no heat in there. It was an attempt to come into compliance with the rules.
All right. But you kind of see how it looks when our staff, when it was addressed, and they go out to look at it and find out that, they're not given what I would determine to be full disclosure on the property. So I'm going to make a motion to find the property owner in violation of Pennington County ordinances and to require the property owner to bring the property in full compliance within 60 days, including obtaining all required permits, inspections, and approvals, and continue to cease all vacation home rental operations. Failure to comply within the specified time rate. And I'm going to take out may in the motion. The motion recommended is made, and I'm going to put will result in further enforcement action.
Second.
We have a motion from Durham, second by Hadcock. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Chair.
Opposed?
Commissioner Hadcock wanted to speak on this.
Commissioner Hadcock?
Thank you, Ron. The bottom line with this, sir, is that you've been trying to come into compliance since October 30th of 2024. That's with the VHR. You've been making money off, sounds like a VHR till then, advertising it, and then also with the false wall and some other stuff. It seems pretty common sense that we need to move forward, that you need to get a conditional use permit, or not a conditional use permit, a VHR permit for this and come in compliance, sir. Thank you.
They're doing that. That was one of the first questions we asked. They've already put an application in for that. So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries.
I guess my question is, how did we ever get in violation of the VHR if we never exceeded the 14-night stay? That's part of the law that's there, that we're not a VHR until we exceed 14 nights in a calendar year.
I don't know that that's what we're worried about right now, are we? It's more like just getting the building back up to code.
Yeah,
and
under our ordinance, you have to, with us, be licensed to operate a VHR and in compliance not only with that. The property was not your issue. It is your issue now, but the fact that the property was built without building permits, it's exceed what is allowable on that space per our ordinance. And so the square footage, and again, we were talking, of 700 square foot for additional space. We went out, initial site survey said 927, And it seems like the more we touch this, the more information we learn. So, it's now up to 1,444 square feet to look at. So it's a combination of many things that we're going to try to get resolution to and what the planning department is looking for. And I believe we're leaning that direction. With your cooperation, is getting to a point where all the information and permitting and everything can be presented to the Board of Commissioners, and we can make a determination, getting back to what Commissioner Roskinek said in the last issue that we dealt with that garage, is what variances will need to be coming forward to the commission, but we cannot discuss any variances until all the other boxes are checked.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Yep, Commissioner Roskinek.
I don't know if that property was listed with a realtor, but, if they didn't get a builder's permit and it's causing you grief, there might be some civil action that you take. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, pull the property disclosures out. There's a specific question that asks if any of the work was done without a permit. And if they signed that, there you go.
Thank you.
You know, maybe you recoup some of your costs. Okay, we'll move on to the next item. Let me see, items from Emergency Services Communication Center, Class B Public Safety Designation for ESCC employees, change in the retirement class position for eligible ESCC employees. So, Kevin Carley, Mr. Carley, you have the floor, sir.
Good morning, Commissioner Kevin Carley, Director, Emergency Services Communications Center. Before you this morning, requesting support from this commission in moving dispatch, state-certified 911 dispatchers from Class A retirement to Class B public safety retirement. And what prompted this is during the 2026 legislative session, a bill was introduced by Representative Colv to make this happen. At the request of SDRS, that bill was pulled, and they want to work directly with PSAPs to try to make that, to actually get us reclassified. So we're working through the process, through SDRS's process to make that happen. Several requirements need to be met. One of them is that we have to submit all of our current staff wage information. We need a letter of support from our local government entity, which in this case is Pennington County. And each one of our staff members has to sign a document saying they are willing to participate in Class B SDRS. We're gathering that information. So I'm here in front of you this morning asking for that letter of support. Under Class A, currently there's a 6% reduction, pre-tax reduction from their wages. That has an employer contribution. Under Class B, that would be an 8% reduction. And my math on that, I'll walk you through that. My estimation, based on 2027 budget figures that we submitted, these are estimations that I'll walk through. So currently, a 6% employer contribution based on our total wages is $230,000. If that were to increase to 8%, it would be $306,000. That's a $76,000 increase in what the county's submission to SDRS would be. Based on 2027 estimations, the county's portion of our budget is about 11.3% contribution. So 11.3% of that 76,000 would roughly be 8,500 to 10,000, depending how many of our employees actually qualify to be Class B public safety employees. So again, those are estimations. I don't know the actual figure determines on what the final budget is, what the final conclusion is, but that's how I've walked through it in my mind to try to estimate those figures. And I will stand for questions at this time.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Go ahead, Gary.
Mr. Chair. So, appreciate you bringing this to us, Kevin. I've long been a believer that dispatchers should be part of this program, and just took a long time to get it through the legislature. So appreciate you bringing it to us, and I fully support this action.
Thank you. Along those lines, this is the third time. The first time, I believe, was in 2013. It was denied by the board, the SDRS board at that time. The second time, I believe, was 3 years ago, and that was denied again. And the reason why that was denied is the PSAPs failed to present all the information to the board in a timely manner. That fell on the PSAPs. So we're hoping this time we have everything together and we can actually get it approved.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner.
Yeah, getting back to that, Kevin, I'm just curious. All the boxes are checked, you get the support, it goes forward. What's the feeling about getting it approved this time?
You know, I'm not sure. I would say at this time 50-50.
All right.
I think you could go either way.
All right. Mr. Chair, I'm going to make a motion to have the Pennington County Commission support the reclassification of eligible ESCC employees from the South Dakota Retirement System Class A membership to Class B public safety membership.
Second.
I have a motion from Durr and a second by Drews. Any other comments? None? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And, Mr. Chair?
Would we need to sign a letter, or what do we need to do here?
Yeah, you'll have a letter to sign.
Okay.
I'll draft.
Oh, I think you told me that, that's right, yep. All right.
Could we take like a 5-minute just
Yeah, let's
break
take a
here?
5-minute break, and then I
Commissioner. Thank you.
I kind of missed something this morning. I'd like to take this opportunity to talk about, the unfortunate incident at the fairgrounds, and that we lost a significant worker at the fairgrounds, Mr. Pauly. What's the last name? I can't.
No.
Yep. So our heart goes out to him and his family, all his friends, the people that loved him, and I just wanted to make sure that we recognize that, and I missed that this morning earlier, so I just thought I'd bring that up, and 100% behind the people at the fairgrounds who love that man and the work that he did, and it's going to be greatly missed, and we're in the thoughts of his family's in our thoughts and prayers, and Ron and his crew, same situation. So appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to say that. So, all right, we're going to take a 5-minute break, and we'll come back with items from the treasurer. We're ready. So items from treasurer. So Annette's here. The board will receive an update regarding ongoing efforts to address customer service and operational concerns within the treasurer's office. Discussion will include recent reviews of office processes, technology systems, and service deliveries. So Annette, you have the floor.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Annette Brandt, Pennington County Treasurer. So I was just asked to come and let you know where we're at with the changes that we are continually implementing, try to get the lines a little bit faster. Not a little bit, we'd love to have them a lot faster. We don't like that wait time either, but I'm just gonna go through, if this is okay, Mr. Chair. I just made a list of the items that I'd like to cover, and then if there's any questions afterwards. Sure. Okay, thank you. The state chat line and call line for questions and processing continues to be a time snag for us to, so we're working with the customers now. If it will be a while before the state returns a response to us, we contact that customer when the fix is done. Sometimes it can take an hour, sometimes it can take a day, sometimes it can take longer, depending on what the issue is. So we're just calling the customer back, trying to get a fix for them for that immediate issue that they have, and then calling them back when we can complete their transaction. Where before we monitored the reply and took an additional customer, and then this customer with the issue just hung around until we were hoping that we would get a response before the end of the day. So that takes additional time for the customer as well as our clerk. So we have changed that a bit. So at the commission request, we were asked to reach out to our current staff and see if any of them would be interested in going part-time in an effort to avoid burnout for employee retention. I have always offered this to well-trained staff if they were leaving or even thinking of taking another job to help retain that knowledge for the taxpayers. Everyone in the office was given that opportunity. I had no takers. So we opened a position through HR sources looking for a part-time non-benefited interested applicant and got one. People are looking for night and weekend shifts to add to their current employment, even though the available flexible hours were posted. So we'll continue to search for that as well. We're recently down 2 team members, and we'll have 2 new hires starting on Monday, the 22nd. Their full-time applicants applying for the job were numerous and left us with 2 additional possible candidates for a wait list or overhire. So we'll look at that as soon as our new ones start on Monday. Commissioner requested was for us to look at our onboarding process to see if new hires could get to the window faster. We did used to do that. We will be challenging this with our new hires to see if there's a difference there. We are manned for 9 fully trained motor vehicle staff at the front window. Their hours are staggered to cover our early opening and our 4 o'clock closing. If one of them call in sick or need to be pulled for training purposes, that window, from that window, we can pull from mail processors in the back, and we do that. Depends on the load in that area. We do pull from our 4-staff phone bank team on planned vacations to cover. So if we know it's going to happen, we've got it planned so that we can keep the 9 windows open. If you see windows that are closed, it's because they are on their 15-minute break, they're on their lunch hour. We don't man somebody to come up front for those break times, because they are also breaking in the back at staggered time and have their workload back there too. So each staff do get a 15-minute break in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. At these times, the windows are left unmanned. I guess I said that already, but our lunch breaks start at 10 and go until 2 for that reason, because we are busy during the lunch hours. So we accommodate the flow of the customers coming to us during their lunch times. Our busiest times are first thing in the morning. We have 7 windows open at 7 o'clock, and 2 or 3 more than are filled at 8 o'clock when the rest of the staff come in. Cody assisted us with implementing AI chat features on our webpage to assist customers looking for information on motor vehicle transactions. We've placed links to the state website for processing to be done entirely online with them. Exception is the title transfers, and that's the lengthy transactions that are coming through our office as well. Out of state can now do their processing through the state as well, and money is just collected by the state and then it's dispersed to the counties that they did business in. So we're trying to push that a lot more as well. We have an additional meeting tomorrow with Golden West to try and get a handle on the voicemails and the phone flow, and an AI feature for callers as well. Golden West is also going to assist us with finding out like how many people are utilizing the AI chat on the website and how that's being used, and how maybe we can better serve the public for that too. It's only been going since our county website went live. So our efforts to obtain a self-service terminal with total state funding is in the works. It's gaining traction. It's been approved in the 2027 state budget, but 2026 funding was available. So they purchased it. Let me know that it is a for sure thing. It's been signed by the governor, okayed in the 2027 budget. They funded it, purchased it in 2026. Now we're just waiting for the implementation on it, and they use a subcontractor for that. We've had additional site visits to Concourse as recent as last week, actually on Monday. They were here looking at it again. So we've switched our wait time to part line and part relaxed wait, which is we were doing all relaxed wait. You just are called from wherever you're at when it's your turn. Now we do a part line. Our receptionist pulls 10 people at a time to line up for their name to be called. They're still called in the order that they signed up, but only move to that line if they're in the building. This is proven to take additional time off the tax and title customers' wait time. I'm still reviewing data as more adjustments are being done, but so far it is clear that it's a 15 to 20 minute positive change or wait time for the for the title transfers. I believe as staff and customers get used to it, we will see more time shaved off as well. New signage is being made, and we will have Cody update our lobby instructions in the next coming week. We have a speaker ordered for the hallway. That seems to be the issue. They line up by the reception desk, and then the windows column down. It's hard for them to hear it. We have a speaker that is ordered through IT with some delay there. In the meantime, we've added a page button on the phones that are on those windows and had them crank up the volume, and they call the customer, and if they don't come right away, then they pick up the phone and that speaker goes out across too. It's not ideal, but it'll have to work until the speaker gets implemented in that hallway. And I've been working with Buildings and Grounds and Mike Iverson with that. Let's see. Since we changed that line system also, we've actually had 2 days since implementing that we were finishing up with the last customers in the waiting room by 3:30. That has not happened at all since. We have staggered shift. We have people that are there till 4, 4:30, and 5, depending on who we've got started and how long those transactions are going to take. Once we start them in the system, even if it is 5 minutes to 4, we're going to finish them. If they're in line and we haven't started them at 4, then we do have to turn them away. But this is a good thing that we're getting through all of them now. So I budgeted for a deputy workshop this year. However, I canceled that trip and instead allocated those resources to send a deputy to Minnehaha County to assist us in evaluating differences between our offices and identifying opportunities to improve our services and operational efficiency. That report will be available to you next week. We'll keep you posted there. Some of the changes in our office that are going to affect our lines again, July 1, the mailing and handling fees for registrations and license plates are going up. So $1.50 for registrations going up to $2.50. And for license plates, they were $7.50, they're going up to $12. So I think that is a significant difference that we're going to see. We already see people that say, I'm not going to pay $7.50 to have my plate, I'll sit and wait for them. But that's going to affect, who knows how, our mail and our wait time. So electronic registration titles is coming down July 1st too. This is a dealer request for a law change. It's called an ERT if you hear it. And what that is the dealers who choose to participate hire a middle vendor that does all of their paperwork for them. They do it all online and they'll be sending it to the state. It's all electronic. And then the state will process the documents and send out the plates or registration or whatever they need to the person who bought that vehicle. It's going to probably be a slow process for the dealers to get on board. Many of the bigger ones in our area were for it and advocated for that law to pass, but the pros and cons of it, they then, when you purchase a vehicle, right at the dealer, you pay your excise tax, you pay your registration, and that's something that the dealers aren't, maybe won't be jumping quite so quick for. It's going to pass on to the consumers, of course, if they do, because there is a cost for the dealers to do it. The pros for them is if you purchase a vehicle and there's a lien on it, if you wait until that 45th day, or sometimes there are buyers that don't even transfer it for 60 days after they purchase it. If there's a lien on it, those dealers don't get, they don't get the funding, the money from the lien holder for their inventory. So any of those that are having problems with that, they're the ones that are going to be jumping on this one, I think, too. So I'll keep you posted on that. We'll know soon. Right now, there's only one vendor that has approached the state of South Dakota that wants to be involved with it. There are 2 or 3 nationwide, but only one has contacted the state of South Dakota. So, and then just a couple other areas. The queuing system that we currently have, we are gathering wonderful information from that. I guess we've got several different departments that are pulling it and analyzing different things, and we appreciate that second set of eyes, third set of eyes, fourth set of eyes sometimes. It's always good to look to see where we can do better. But it also has a survey on it, and right now we just use the paper ones where if the people take the time to fill it out, we learn all kinds of things, small things that we can help out with, large things that we might not be able to. But we do read all of those comment cards that are left. And let's see, that queuing survey, the queue system survey, we'll start implementing that as soon as we get the signs updated, and Cody will help with the video out in the lobby, because we want to make sure that that's all clear too, so that we don't just have a whole bunch of those of, I didn't understand how to do it. We want to make sure that they do understand. The other thing is that I'd like to look at in the future is at convention this year, I talked to a couple different vendors, and they have different ways to take credit card transactions. Ours right now is old style. We take the card, we talk to them, let them know what the fee is, swipe the card, wait for it to print, ask them if they want a receipt, you know, the routine. But if you go to Walmart, or if you go to I don't know, dollar store is my thing, but if you go to any of the vendors that have the one that is facing the public, that all they have to do is tap or slide, and they're answering the questions while we're still finishing up the transaction. So as we replace those terminals, having to replace them, I would like to look for that too, and that will shave some time off as well. So with that, I'll stand by for questions.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Drews.
So, Annette, I presume the dealers being able to hire a vendor to be their middleman, that should cut down, I presume the intent is to try to cut down on errors that are made from the dealers, so the paperwork when it comes to you is more correct. Is that the general idea on that?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
The intent was to get those liened titles through quicker for the inventory and money back to the dealers. But yes, the vendor will be the one totally responsible for getting the documents to this accurately to the state. So if there's something that they are missing, they reach out to the customer, or they reach out to the dealer, instead of you purchasing the vehicle and you come in with the paperwork and, oh, the dealer forgot something. So now we're either sending you back to the dealer or calling them if it's something that they can correct and send to us. So it will be time saving.
One follow-up, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Commissioner.
So as the communication, not necessarily communication, but the working with the state, has that gotten any better as far as, I know that there was a lot of delay time on the state's part when you needed to work with them. Has that gotten any better?
It has. As their staff get better trained as well. So they were dealing with a lot of new staff as well, and we were waiting for them to be able to talk to their lead or their trainers in order to answer questions. But for the most part, we do still probably on a daily basis have issues that come up that we're waiting on either from the dealer inspector to respond or the state, but it has definitely gotten better.
Good. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Roskinek, sir.
What was it, Annette, a couple of weeks ago that I met with you?
Yes.
And, you know, you got a program that pretty much tracks all your different transactions, and there's a lot of them. If I understand it, paying your taxes, that's a short transaction. A title transfer is lengthy. So what I did is I asked Annette to tell me how many windows were open that day and how many transactions they did. We did not segregate anything, but I just took that simple math as I took the total number of transactions, which would have been the complex one and the simple ones, times the number of windows that were open, and I come out how many transactions per day did each window do, because I wanted to see if there's an outlier. And right now, yesterday you did 49 transactions per window. On the 9th, you did 41 transactions. What I was looking for, if you were consistent and you did this enough, if you saw an outlier, you might be able to sit there and find out what did we do that day where we got 55 transactions, or if you only got 25. I've only done this for about 14 days, but I find it interesting that their normal transactions per window is between 40 and 44 per day.
How many windows?
Well, it depends, 7 to 9 on an average. And then
Mr.
my
Chair,
other question.
That's correct, yeah.
My other question would be, before we moved here, we knew we had a phone system that didn't work, and so it was my understanding when we moved here that phone system was supposed to be upgraded so that it was more user-friendly, more lines, and is that still a problem, the phone system?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
We have, I think, had no idea what the volume of incoming calls actually was. We just were hearing, my call got dropped. We'd hear that 3 times a week. The IT department, Caleb in the IT department is, I believe, I don't know if Mike's here, but
Yeah, Mike's
is
here. Come on up front, Mike.
working to try to get some of those statistics because it's done by Golden West right now. But as far as how many calls we actually don't get to still, we utilize our fully trained staff at the windows for the speed for the public that are coming in. And then we have 4 staff that are answering those incoming calls. They're separated by fast transactions and title transactions. So fast transactions, if they're just calling to renew over the phone, and then we take the time to let them know how they can actually do that online instead of calling in next time or whatever, because they're still getting it mailed out to them, right? But it just, there's still our voice messages that are being left are now our issue and swamp, actually. We've got a lot of them. Last week, when the voice messages weren't working across the whole county, of course, we kind of got the hit for that, saying that we broke it. We really didn't. It was something to do with the phone system, but it took us until Thursday. So we had no voicemails that were coming in. On Monday, we, in between the work that we were doing, it took us till Thursday to get through all those voicemails that were left the prior week. So it's a lot.
So, I've heard comparisons between Minnehaha and Pennington County. So, relative to issues that we have with the state, do other counties have the same issues?
Pennington County has the longest wait time of their title transactions, and that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of. We have 7.5 hours for each staff member. I'm saying 7.5 for processing time because we do give them a 15-minute break in the morning and the afternoon. They're there for 8 hours. We offer overtime if they want to stay and help with the mail processing, but once the 4 o'clock hits, we don't take any more face-to-face customers. The volume of people that come through are larger than the volume that are coming through to the other counties. So
the person that's coming from Minnehaha, that's next week?
yes, I'll have the information for you next week.
Yeah, I'd really like to see what they have to say.
Yeah. And I appreciate it. We did reach out to Jordan and Kenner too and let them know that that's what we were going to do. And understanding that really somebody from our office looking to compare those exact transactions of how we do it is better than not knowing the process and going in and comparing the two. But they were invited to go along as well. So.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Commissioner, you got
I'm going to go back to the phone system and start with that. So it seems like I've been on the commission, since January of last year, and it seems like we've had phone issues kind of nonstop, getting emails that says phones are down, voicemails down. On an IT perspective, what brought our last situation? So what caused the voicemails for several days, and is it fixed not to work?
So the problem is fixed currently. The issue started from Saturday updates on our main servers. Every month they do updates just to keep themselves secure and up to date with everything. When that happened, all of the phone servers failed. They did not move, they didn't migrate, they failed over. Once we realized that on Saturday, we brought them back online. Took about 45 minutes. Got them up working. At the time, didn't realize the voicemail was down. Wasn't something we tested at the time. It's added to our list now of things we test, but noticed that on Monday morning, we attempted to take a look, see if we could get it resolved ourselves. We do have a support contract with Golden West on this stuff, and so we brought them in. They spent about a day, day and a half, and then they brought in the vendor, Mitel, the actual provider of the phone systems, and they spent the next 2.5 days trying to get it resolved. Once they finally got it resolved, we got everything back up. Took a little bit of hiccups that were caused out of it, and it should be up and functioning now. We're spending a good amount of time trying to figure out a good way to make sure it does not happen again, because those updates have to happen. And if those servers cannot be adjusted, we're going to have to figure out another way of doing it. So that's actually what ended up causing it, and it ended up being a database corruption that came out of the shutdown. So
Good. And so when you say a monthly update on the server, is that our server or their server?
That's our server.
So it was an internal issue, not external?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Yeah, for me, I mean, that's problematic with the technology and the money that we put into, all the infrastructure that we have here to support the operations, that we have that level of failure and it takes that long to rectify it. That's a concern for me.
Correct.
So,
no, I agree. We're pushing them to find a resolution for this because July 3rd, I think it's actually July 4th is the next time our updates will go. And we can't have a duplicate event like this. So.
All right. So some follow-up with some of the comments. And Ed, I appreciate the fact that you're looking at this stuff and getting back to Commissioner Roskinex getting into some of, what are the daily transactions. So if you were to say, because again, if you're saying, 49 or whatever the variant is on a daily by employee, how many transactions on a daily basis do you think that you're doing based on the number of windows open if you were just to come up with an average?
Well, the queue system shows us from the front windows about between 360 to 410 a day.
Okay. It starts yesterday. The 15th of June, 395. The 12th of June, 368. The 11th of June, 365. The 10th of June, 345. The 9th of June, 365. The 8th of June, 322. The 5th of June, 342. The 4th of June, 381. 3rd of June, 393, and the 2nd of June, 366. So,
all right,
that would be transactions or the total of whether it's 7 windows, 8 windows, or 9 windows.
Right.
All right.
Correct. Although I need to add to that, those are customers that are at the window. So when I'm saying the amount of transactions that are happening at the window, that one customer who is one of those 363 people that are at the window might have 4 transactions. We don't go in and stop and log every transaction that we're doing. Many have multiple ones, but if you're there to renew your registration, you count as one customer in that queue.
All right.
I think that just being consistent on how you analyze it, that's the important thing.
All right. So getting back to it, I mean, we've talked about Minnehaha County, kind of comparing not only comparing the treasurer's office to Minnehaha County, we look at budget, personnel, it's been talked about over the last year, specifically getting into budget stuff. And it was a conversation because, again, when the phone lines go down and the wait time, people have problems getting into the queuing system, that the commission is getting a lot of public input about their unhappiness with the county operations related to how we process. And again, some of it is explaining to them that we're only following, the 605 system is not our software. We're following through and implementing, inputting information, the requirements about all the paperwork that you need when you show up at the window. Those are all state requirements, et cetera. So, but there has been, a lot of feedback about the wait time getting serviced at the county. So I understand you were going to send staff out there. It was talked about with the commission. And so yesterday, I took a trip to Minnehaha County with Kenner in the commission office, and we round-tripped it and scheduled a meeting with the commission office down there to talk to them about some questions I had about projects and budget and stuff that they were working on and how they were handling some of the jail stuff and things coming back about the parole inmates getting violated. So those are some conversations I had with the commission office. But Kenner and I did have a meeting with the treasurer down there in Minnehaha County and sat back in the office and watched the operations. And so the comments that I'm going to have are what I would ask that when you make the trip down there that you would look at. But getting back to the number of staff that Minnehaha County has, I believe they have 23 full-time staff and they have 3 part-time staff. They use the 3 part-time staff that work 20 hours or less during the week, and what they do is fill in over the noon hour and for those breaks. And so Minnehaha County operates, they have 12 stations, so 12 windows that can service the customers. And those 12 windows are serviced daily from the minute they open until the doors close, to include all employee breaks and all lunch hours. There is no degradation unless there's some anomaly or an emergency where some employee, had, family issue or something. But let's just say the majority of the time, every single day, from the time the windows open until they close, there are 12 tax and title specialists that are serving the public. And so above each window, what they have is a regimented break. So they have a sheet up there that says what time your break is at each of the 12 stations. If they're waiting, let's just say the break is 9:30 a.m. and they're taking care of a customer, and that break takes them or that transaction takes them to 9:35. At 9:35, someone from the back walks up with a drawer. It's all regimented. They go in, they put their drawer in, so they separate that transaction, cash. That employee goes on a break. That employee's break is still from 9:30 to 9:45, so they get a 10-minute break. They're back. That person goes back to the back room because they have the people in the back that are answering the phones, doing, some of those transactions in the back, different assignments. But those windows are staffed, 12 windows, through all breaks. There is no, I have to go to lunch, I'm going on a break, I'm going to shut my window down. That is backfilled with the individuals from the back of the room, back of the office that come up. And so for the entire workday, those windows are open with 12 stations. And talking about how they do the training, which is something that I mentioned last year about what I would rather see, and I understand your philosophy on it, but what I would rather see, and I would support financially because it would be an increase in the budget, would be that we just hire, it's just like if I had, my druthers, I would go back to job descriptions that go back 50 years in county government that just says, I'm a deputy auditor and I do all things the auditor does. I'm a deputy treasurer. I do all things the treasurer does. So anyway, but they hire tax and title specialists, and how they do that, getting back to what you just talked about that you would look at. So a new hire comes on board, and it's been almost 2 years since they've had to hire anybody new in the office. So their turnover, they don't have a lot of turnover. And so when somebody comes on new, they shadow somebody at the front window, and basically that is their training. And I'm like, okay, so if you have a tax and title specialist that is doing the transactions at the front window, 1 through 12, and you have somebody go up there and shadow them, is that individual being paid differently to train that employee? No, that's just part of the job. And so they will shadow, and I said, what is your training time to get a new employee to the front window to do transactions on their own? And she said it ranges anywhere from 2.5 weeks to 2 months. And so we were in there, watching the transactions come forward. They had about, I'm going to say all 12 windows were full. They had probably, I'm going to say 7 or 8 people in the waiting line and 12 people being serviced. And their wait time is about, about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the transaction, for their wait time to get through. They don't have a queuing system. It's just stand in line. And if you look, when you go down there, your staff, you'll see that building was built in 1961, a great year, by the way. and it's kind of a rotunda style, and so everybody is standing in a hallway. There is no room for seating for anybody, so they don't have a waiting area because they have to get people through the line. And they're averaging somewhere between 350 and 500 transactions at the front windows per day. So based on the average, their employees are hitting somewhere with 12 stations open between 35 and 50 transactions a day, with a wait time of about 15 minutes to get through the line. We talked to them about how do you handle your phone system and your voicemail, and when I said voicemail to the treasurer, she got confused and said, "What do you mean voicemail?" And I said, "How do you handle the calls that come into the office when you can't get to them? How do you handle that? So what is your voicemail, or what phone system do you use?" And she's like, "I don't understand voicemail." So she went back to the individuals working and handling the calls and said, "What do we do for voicemail?" And they're like, "We don't have voicemail. We answer every call." And I said, "Do you shut down your calls at the peak times to cover those breaks over the lunch hour from 11 to 1? Do you shut the phone systems down and not take any calls?" And she was like, "No, we answer every call." And so they are handling their call volume. They don't take voicemails, and the calls, when someone calls, someone always answers the phone. So they're able to manage that. They don't have a queuing system. It's just, you step in line, you go up to one of the windows. And so looking at, those operations with the number of FTEs they have, and I think it has been mentioned here, then to look at, if we have an opportunity to talk about adding some part-time staff, whatever the workflow would look like to help on some of those peak times, or when somebody is gone, to keep those windows open. But with the staff of 23 and 3 part-timers, the 12 windows are open every day. All the phones are answered every day. And I said, "Well, how do you do mail processing? Do you log your mail in?" And we only log in the mail that is timestamped, certified, or comes in. And so I said, "Who does the mail?" And the treasurer's like, "I'm the one that does the mail." So me and one other individual do the mail, and she takes care of all the liens and the tax deeds and the property tax. She does primarily all the property tax stuff that comes in. And she mentioned something too that's interesting, just so we make sure that you can kind of understand. And again, I think your insight going down there with your staff would be more detailed. But when it came down to processing those special times a year when we have, which you've talked about, the deadlines for elderly assessments and those tax freezes that come in and you have to fill out the paperwork, meet the criteria, and do that, instead of, because she said it would just overwhelm us in our office. And so what she did is during those times, they hire 4 part-time people to come in, and then those individuals come in and sit down and meet with them in a separate location out of the treasurer's office upstairs on the 3rd floor by the commission office up there. So they hire part-time staff that comes in to do all those tax freezes and all of that documentation and financial stuff that's required. So they have 4 people that just set up, and they come in and handle that. And she's like, "You couldn't believe, what that does to take the workload off of our office so that we can serve the public that is coming in." And so, with all of those things, I mean, it's always, it's brings me back to this queuing system, and looking that we have 2 staff at the front windows up here basically as reception. And, things to think about, because instead of checking people in and saying, "Here you go," if we are looking at staffing, to look at those staff actually, taking care of a window, and just have everybody come up and say, "You're in line, come forward." And, but I think, for me, getting down to the number of transactions Minnehaha County is doing with the number of staff they have to be able to maintain all the phone calls, a wait time of about 15 minutes, and that all breaks are covered, all windows are open. I think that would be a goal that we would need to look for. And I would be curious, again, when you send your staff down to Minnehaha County, kind of what they come back with and what they look like, because I think, what you're going to find is you're going to have support from the commission, but I think part of that too, at least for me anyway, is going to go, the staff that we have and the resources that we have, all the technology we've added, And when I hear the public call in and say, I can't even get into Pennington County for anybody to even answer a phone. And and getting back to the IT side that supports you and supports the organization, that is something I think we need to work on, because if it comes down to it, I mean, it seems to be an intermittent, ongoing issue that something needs to be done to make sure that we keep our phone lines open and we're able to take care of the public. So anyway, number of transactions down there, getting back to their the DMV machines for the public to go up and utilize. But they have one on the outskirts of the city. I don't remember what end they said, but that one machine alone does 3.6 million. And they have one in their lobby there that is not even open to 24-hour access. So when you walk into the building, take a left, the machine is right here, and the treasurer's office is to the left, and it does not have 24-hour access. And she said, yeah, it's not utilized a lot because our lines are so short. The people that come into the building would rather just walk up and do business at the front counter versus utilizing that machine. So, and again, getting back to, because I've seen the emails throughout, seems like sometimes 2 to 3 times a month where those machines are down, and it's not our issue. It's not your issue. It's not anything we can fix. That is a state issue with their system, and so they deal with the same thing down there. The machine's not working. I'm told you can fix it. No, it's not our issue. It's with the state and their vendors. So anyway, it was a good trip down to Minnehaha County just to, kind of look at the fact that they have limited building space. And that's one thing I did denote when I went down there, that in a conversation with their commission director, that over the last 20 years, take away public safety, over the last 20 years in Minnehaha County, outside of the public safety sector, they've only added 15 employees in the last 20 years. So anyway, I think I appreciate the fact that you're open to go down there and do a site visit and look at that. And the other comment I would make, and this would be up to you, is that, you'll find out when you go down there, but the treasurer down there made it, said, I'm willing to, if it would be of any of assistance, I'm willing to come up here to Pennington County and do a walkthrough with your office and see if there's some, tidbits that they could offer about what they do. And again, some of that would be reciprocal too. Here's what we do. I didn't think about that. That's a good idea. And so again, it's all about that communication, but those are my comments.
So Commissioner, we had that conversation too, and you met, what's their turnover rate in their Treasury Department?
Well, it's low. They have a lot of senior staff. One of the individuals I met with had been there in 20 years. A lot of, and again, you could tell the people that have been in there, looks like they've been there for a long time. And the newest hire is within the last year and a half. She thought it was 2 years, but it's the last year and a half, and they just don't have turnover. My question, too, was getting back to what Annette had mentioned about, do you have a hard time hiring the part-timers? And she said, actually, no, because, again, it's kind of people type thing. And so they just kind of reached out with coworkers and said, hey, I know somebody that might come in and work part-time and it would fit their schedule. Kids are in school during the day. Of note, though, one of the ladies that is a part-timer that, came into that training process and job shadowed, that comes in and works about 20 hours a week, is 80 years old. And I'm like, did they have trouble picking this up in the training process and being able to work on their own? And she's like, not really. It might have taken a little bit longer with some of the technology, and that individual, the part-timer, was working there the entire time that I sat there, and I just happened to watch, and her transaction, she was up to par and up to speed with everybody else that came through the line at 80 years old. And so
you mentioned also about the experience that auditor had that treasurer had when she came in.
Yeah, the treasurer, came in, has been in the office for 6 years, came and she, in the local community, ran private business. And so I was just curious with her, if you came in kind of, again, without having the background and experience in working the office, how did that work out? And And again, I mean, the comment is you just kind of, look at the operations as a business, and just like in business, it's about customer service. The one thing I did get out of it, and I know that you're no different, Annette, is that it's all hands on deck, and it was her goal, and that's why, she said she does whatever she takes, and if somebody says, I'm going to take time off, they have to look at the shared calendar in the office and realize that you cannot take the time off unless it's an extreme emergency, because another employee is going to have time off. We have to backfill. But her goal, which seems to be pretty much almost 100% of the time, is 12 windows open all day long, no exception. So
I'm gonna attempt to be as respectful as I can, with all due respect to your position, but I get 3 to 4 phone calls, interactions, text messages, Facebook posts, whatever it may be, a week at the minimum. Sometimes I have to hold my phone out here when they are chewing me out for the wait lines or whatever. It's typically the wait lines, 3 hours long, people getting cut off at the end of the day. You and I have had conversations about it. We've had conversations about some of the things that transpired. I don't know if those have been taken care of with employees that were failed to get paid. I don't know if that's been taken care of, if that's been handled. We talked about employee handbooks where you had a different policy manual in your department than the whole county had. The one thing I see consistently, and I'm hoping that we can change the tide, because you are an elected official. You don't report to us. We're not your boss. And that's tough for us to explain to people when they're calling me up, ripping me apart, and I'm telling them I have little to zero control. After the conversations that I probably was quite pointed to you, you filed a complaint against me that I was harassing you because I was asking you to do what you can do, and I won't reuse the words that I used, and they were pretty pointed. But I'm at odds with all this, that I don't know that there's nothing I can do. I mean, you don't seem to have an attitude that you want to change these things. I mean, all the things you talked about today were small, minor things when we compare it to another operation that's running. And we've had those conversations, and there's always something that comes up that circumvents that conversation. And I'll do whatever I can do. I would try to make that clear. But it's very obvious to me that the queue system doesn't work. Having 5 to 6 or 7 windows open at a time doesn't work. I'm just want some sign from you, and you don't answer to me, so that's totally up to you what you do. I wanted this public discussion because I want the people out there to know that the commission is doing what they can do to try to get these wait times under control that are manageable. 10 or 15 minutes is probably proper, maybe 30 minutes, but anything beyond that seems out of touch. I think I appreciate the talk, taking the number of units per window, but if you have 12 windows open, you're going to get, at 40 times, you're getting almost double the production with 12 windows open. I think that I've managed people all my life, and one thing that's important is the environment that you work in. That's your productivity levels will be shown then, those types of things, and I don't want to get into that part of it. I'm just hoping that there's some willingness from the Treasury Department that they will really look at a complete overhaul. I don't see anything other than a complete overhaul. What's happening now to the public is unacceptable. And I can't even go to the doctor's office without even getting somebody complaining to me. And I've had it. I've been in politics for a long time now. I've never seen nothing like this. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen the reluctance to immediately resolve it, but I've never seen that level of customer service at that point, that everybody that I come in contact with, not everybody, that's an overstatement, but a lot of people I come in contact with, even going to the doctor's office, and she mentions, oh, man, my husband went down there, and then I can be like, okay, I know exactly where that story's going. So I don't know how we bridge this gap other than you know, you're an elected official. I mean, you do what you want to do, but at some time, the commission has to make a decision on how we want to handle this. And we got to, do we want to keep getting the phone calls? People tell me they don't get phone calls. I get them all the time, and I've been sharing them. And I've made a promise to people up here that I wouldn't say some of the things I said, but I've had it. I'm over it. I'm done. But I'm going to do whatever I can do. But it's not my job. I don't get paid to do that job. I get paid to be a commissioner. That's what the people elected me for. So when they call me up, I'm very vocal in the community. I'm very open in the community. A lot of people know who I am. They got my phone number. I give it to everybody. They call me and they complain, or they call me and say good things about some of the things that happen. There's been good conversations that we've had in the Treasury Department too. But overall, majority of them are overwhelmingly the wait time. I don't know if, I don't know. I guess we're looking for you for an answers, but if I would make a suggestion, if we could literally tell you to do something that would improve it, would be to have 12 lines open and get rid of that queuing system. That would be the first thing. But then there's two opportunities that you have there. Then you can say, we're all wet. You can put your heels in the sand and say, I'm done with these guys. I can do whatever I want, because you can do that. But at that point, this commission has to look in the mirror and answer to the public and say, I'm not taking any more of those phone calls. I don't want those phone calls. And when I get those phone calls, I'm very pointed with them. So it's part of our job as a commission to take those hard phone calls. And part of your job as an elected official to provide a service to the people in the community that is acceptable. And I don't know, I'm trying to be as respectful as I can, but like I said, some of the environment that we've been approached, I don't even know if those things are fixed yet. Have they been fixed? I mean, have these people been paid for the time that they weren't paid for?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
That was an HR discussion, that those issues were already taken care of before that actual discussion that you asked to be a part of. And you can verify that with the HR department.
So all those people been paid?
So, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead. So in public then, as you just said, that some people were working and not getting paid for it, let's be clear that what that was we were requesting the staff to start their day at their start time. So to call their first customer at whatever their start time was. Originally, the HR department, which you disagree with me, I did show documentation for why we changed that the staff could come in early enough to get their computers up and ready to take that first customer, say their time was 8 o'clock. And what the issue was they didn't feel that anything before 8 o'clock should not be on their time. That was changed immediately when the new HR staff brought it to our attention. It wasn't that anybody was not being paid for, well, it was, because there were some staff that felt that. And so now what we do is we open at 7 o'clock. The staff come in, they're at their stations at 7 o'clock, then they open up their software programs, and then they open up their windows. So now the customers are waiting that 5 minutes instead of being done. And that was done immediately when it was discussed.
That's not the question I asked you. I just asked you if they'd been paid for the time that.
You'll have to talk to HR.
That's HR's problem?
Well, it is, because the discussion was done the very next day, and so then we changed that.
The employee manual and the environment in the workforce there has changed?
Mr. Chair, so the next thing that you're saying in public, that we had our own employee manual. Almost every department in the county has their own departmental manual that was being used. Each time that we did any changes on it, it was sent over to HR, signed off on, yep, that's good wording, no, that's not good wording, we used it. If we're not supposed to do that, which was told by risk management, we shouldn't do that, that was taken care of the very next day. A week later, we had the meeting that you were in, so those things were done. What needed to be done still afterwards was the request for our lead staff to listen to some of the programming that NeoGov had for training. They all got that completed within 2 weeks after that meeting. So yes, we've complied with everything.
We went back to having the county's handbook be
We don't
your
have a,
handbook.
sorry, we don't have an employee handbook anymore. We let them know what our
What I'm
differences
suggesting
are.
is all these things lead to heavy turnover. Your department has heavy turnover, and there's reasons for that. And we talked about that. And that's when you obviously took whatever, you didn't like what I had to say. So, but my thing is that I'm just looking for you to be willing to resolve these wait times. If you don't think there's a problem with the wait times, fine. If you think there's a problem with them, we got resources here to help you with them. But we can't change it without you saying, I want to change it.
Mr. Chair, I have made changes. I am not happy with the wait times. None of our office is as well. We are all working together. We are listening to the public to make changes as we go. I'll address all of your information that you provided from Minnehaha County once my deputy comes back and they're comparing apples to apples, because for sure there is something that's not the same that's there for the workload. I don't know what it is. We'll find out. We do check in every title that comes through so that we can track it, because we don't have the staff to actually sit and process that right then. So if that customer calls in, we need to know right where that title is to go pull it to take care of them. Voicemails I perked up when you said they don't have voicemails. They answer every call. Do they? Or is people getting a busy signal? That might be something that we look at. We wouldn't have somebody to have to track those voicemails. I don't know. I'll look at all of that and I will be back with a report for you. But never can it be said that I'm not, or that I am satisfied with the wait time and that I've not been making changes, because I have.
Well,
so thank you.
and that's fair enough, because all I'm looking for is for you to say, we have an issue with these wait times, and I'm willing to do what it takes to make these wait times more tolerable. That's all I'm looking for. I didn't see that before, and I've had that conversation with my colleagues.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
And how long was Janet the treasurer?
22 years.
And how long did you work for her?
15.
So what I see is Janet retired, Annette took over, and you just basically did things the way Janet did. And no fault of your own, and that's just the way everything operated. And so I think it's going to be refreshing that you can go to another county and maybe the current treasurer there, I don't know how long she's been there and how long her predecessor is, but I think it's just a learning experience, and I'm glad that
she's been there 6 years.
I'm talking about her predecessor. How did her predecessor?
She ran against her in an election.
But I don't know how she operated. So to me, it's just that if you're with somebody for 15 years and they do it that way, you just instinctively, we'll just keep doing it that way. So it's a good idea that they're going to another county and seeing how they do it. And I see good things coming out of it.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
In addition to, I want you all to know that I have a very good rapport with the other treasurers across the state of South Dakota, as they do with me. So we are in conversation most of the time, and definitely at workshop and conventions when we're there. So we are already bouncing things off each other. That is part of the discussion that I've had. You guys all know that out of state is a big thing for Pennington County. We're the largest county that does that because of how Minnehaha does theirs. That's another discussion for budget. You guys will have to decide that. I'll have the numbers for you next week. Supposedly, the 605 drive, it wasn't built to give the breakdown between out-of-state and local, and they've been working on it since last August was the request. November, a little bit more nudge, and now we're nudging a little bit more, and they're getting close. So I'll be able to give you that information as well.
Commissioner Durr.
Yeah, just a comment about the 605, and one thing that they mentioned, and you'll find out about how they, do balancing and that, but they were stating that some of the 605 information based on what the previous software was misreporting and categorizing some of the information, and it made it very difficult to balance. And so they're still, because they talked about 605's way of trying to do a refund and balance, and then they pool the money over here, and it's creating a balancing issue. So it's not just Minnehaha County, that's a statewide issue based on the state software and how some of that was accounting. And so that created an issue for them. And getting back to, because again, initially I think we had heard that Minnehaha County didn't do any out-of-state titles. They do. When somebody requests and sends in paperwork and or communicates and says, I want to do, I'm from Tennessee and I want to do I want to register a vehicle in South Dakota, what they do is make them get a local P.O. box. And so I said, okay, so if you have, 10 people from out of state that want to register a vehicle and you say, I'm only going to do it if you get a local P.O. box, how many of them follow through? And she said 9 out of 10. And so they do those, and you'll find out when you go to, when you send staff down there as to why she does that and how they, nuance that and make it work. And so anyway, it's interesting that everybody has a little bit of a take on it, but they do, the out of state, and I'm not sure what that number is, but that'll be a discussion, that we will have about how much time it takes and how do we best resource that, and is it worth the money. But anyway, I think when you go down there, I'm glad that you're open to it, that I think Minnehaha County, and again, everybody, it's not like we've created all of these laws and we're operating different county by county. It's all off the state system and everybody's following the same process. It's not like we've created separate ordinances that we have to enforce and go through. These are all state requirements, so.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Drews.
So the thing that stuck out that Commissioner Durr had said was relative to the kiosk. They do if I understood it correctly,
3.6.
3.6, one machine annually.
Yes.
Any idea how many transactions are processed through our machines?
Mr. Chair,
Yep.
so I have all of that documentation as we were building in a 3-year process to try to increase the usage in the self-service terminals in Pennington County so that we could continue to grow there. If the commission would like, I can send Jordan the 2025 numbers, and I get updates on that every month.
I'd appreciate that. And one of the things I'm curious on then is, how does Minnehaha County direct people to use those kiosks? That one in particular, what kind of means are they using for communication to get people using those? Because I'd be very surprised if we have anywhere near close to that as far as our transactions on the kiosks.
You're right. It's a slow process to get those built up, which is why I wanted one here in Concourse so that we could help direct people. That's what happened on Kansas City Street. The more people that we got to use it there and realize where the other machines were. The Department of Revenue machine has increased since we moved out here to Concourse, because they come out here first, look for it, and then they head over to Department of Revenue. The Kansas City Street one hasn't really taken a significant hit on the people that were using it before, even as we're under construction are still utilizing that. So I'll be happy to send those reports to Jordan, but yeah, I do look at those on a monthly basis just to see where they're at, and reminds me to nudge them a little farther for the one we've been waiting for. I appreciate the commission waiting for that one to come. There was some discussion last year about that, but this one then is totally state funded, totally state maintained with their funds. Minnehaha counties, most of them, I believe, are located in gas stations. I forget the name of the gas station.
I can tell you where they're all at.
Yeah.
One's in the driver's exam place. That one does nothing. One's in the Get and Go, which is a gas station, I'm assuming. Sioux Falls Get and Go.
Get and
You're familiar
Goes.
with?
Yeah,
So
that's it.
That one does a significant amount of volume, and then one of them in the courthouse or in the where they get their tags. That one does nothing basically, but the other two. One is in Sioux Falls Hy-Vee on MN, whatever that means, and then the big one is on Hy-Vee store in Louise Street. That's the big one. So the reason they're driving it there is because of access. There's so many people. Like if we could put one in a Walmart here or something, then it would be somewhere that's accessible to people, and there's one on each side of town. And you got to go where the people are to make that thing work.
And then, Mr. Chair, getting back to that, so the machine that we're going to get will go into this facility then? And are we looking at
Yes.
another one?
Well, we would have to get that volume up in order to, that's what they look at, is the usage in the areas. Right now, I guess Kenner must have called the director of motor vehicle, and she shared with him that there is another area but it's in Fall River that they're looking for now to try to cover that area. And I always let her know that we're open to more if she has them. So there are specs that are available. Commissioner Ross Connect and I had a meeting out in Hill City. The city of Hill City was looking at maybe purchasing one, just as the discussion was here. We were able to pull out the information on how many Hill City residents actually used the ones that were in town, and they decided not to do that, not to purchase it for that volume, and hopefully in 2026 I can continue to have a discussion with mayor and the city manager, I believe is what his title is, for either a drop box or we've also discussed maybe another satellite office there up in Hill City. So for that area, if we were, depending on what way we go for budget, so.
Commissioner Ross Connect, sir.
Yeah, the reason, Hill City would have loved to do it, but I think their cost would have been around $90,000. And so, just like every other community, and that was just more than they could budget. But it's not that we have to totally forget about it. It's still out there.
Right.
Things might change, but at least the dialogue started.
Right,
Mr.
definitely
Chair.
open to a drop box there too, because that's less invasive for their budget as well. Those machines are over $100,000. They're $40,000 for the software, I believe, and then there's a monthly update for them as well, or quarterly update for them as well. And so it is quite costly for those smaller areas.
All right. And Mr. Chair, a couple comments. I guess I'm
Commissioner.
questioning, like Box Elder, do you think that would be a good location for one of those?
At this time, I would say no, because we'd have one this close, and DOR is right here too. The self-service terminals still require a South Dakota driver's license to use, but the online processing, you don't have to have a South Dakota driver's license. So base personnel usually have an out-of-state driver's license. So at this time, I would say no. But
All right. And getting back to the discussion with Hill City, getting back to servicing some of those people in the rural areas that would alleviate some of the backlog that we have here. I would be open to having a discussion with let's just say Hill City, and saying, is there a cost share that you could do so much and the county could chip in so much? I'd be willing to look at that.
Commissioner Ross Connect, yep.
Maybe even get the state to participate a little bit.
Mr. Chair, the state actually does pay for all the equipment that's there. And so like in our wall office, so we don't have a self-service terminal out east, but we do have the wall satellite office. Originally, we went from once a week, and then for the volume that was out there, we could actually utilize that staff member that was there better in-house processing. So we went every other week, and now we're down to 1 day a week, which this has been, 1 day a month on a Wednesday. The very first Wednesday of every month is when we go there. And then it's a full schedule for them.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we definitely could work something out with Hill City if it makes sense.
Yeah, and the mayor that we talked to, she got reelected, so, she's still there, and I see her once in a while, and we can, just tell her that we're still open to trying to do something with
The
Hill
bottom
City.
line is they're county residents, so they need to get serviced, so.
And if we can
Absolutely, yeah.
get them to do some of the, it'll just take some of the pressure off of this particular
I
facility.
can't imagine that making them pay for the machine would make sense.
She did offer her desk too. She said she's there 3 days a week. You can have it the other 2 every week, but I mean, depending on what is decided during budget time, to have 2 people out, or one person out 2 days a week, in addition to, you see what our leave time is.
I'm not leaning on that. I'm saying, if we had a kiosk and we could help
gotcha.
finance a kiosk.
Okay,
So
sorry,
is
I
there
misunderstood.
Is there a date that you're heading to Minnehaha County that?
Yeah, they're on their way now, actually.
Okay, so they'll be back, and then they'll take some time to gather their thoughts and.
Yep, we
whatever
have a
you-
3-day weekend coming up, so I'll be prepared to the end of the week, next week.
Okay, perfect.
If you want to send them a text, there's a good place to eat downtown. I think it's called the Blarney Stone.
Oh.
I might have been there yesterday.
The Blarney Stone?
Yeah.
And Mr. Chair, the last year and the year prior, I was sending you all of that self-service terminal reports. What's the one that you're looking at? Do you have a current one? Do you want?
I do not have a current.
Continue?
If
Okay.
you send it to me, I have it somewhere, but I don't have one.
I-
but
I haven't
it would be-
sent
If you
him-
send us the current one, I think to Jordan, he can distribute it to everybody.
That's
to
what
make
I'll
sure
do.
they have it so they can.
Yep.
I know that Commissioner Drews is interested in those numbers too, so.
And then, Mr. Chair, just one more plug for that queue. All of the information that is being obtained for your numbers, your counts, everything, that maybe we could possibly use it in a different manner or something, but I would hate to see that go away with the low cost that it is and how we work together with Waitwell is the name brand of that. We've had other places come in and take a look at it and went, wow, we're switching over. And one of them most recently is the Department of Motor Vehicle out on Catron. They just switched over to that too from the system that they used as well. So just one more plug for it, because it does actually allow us to put notes in the system if somebody left for a reason on their documents. When they come back, we know exactly who waited on them, what to assist them with, and get them on their way. So thank you.
Mike, you had something to say?
Mr. Chair? Yes. If I could request that any of the complaints that come in about the phone system not functioning get routed to me. Sometimes I don't hear about them. I know Commissioner Hadcock advised Kenneth the last time we met about a month ago to pass any on. I hadn't seen any until last week. But if you guys are getting them, let me know about them, because if we don't.
How about this, Mike? How about you just check in with Annette every week and see how it's going for her?
She passes them over to me.
Okay.
She's pretty religious
That's where
about
the
it, so we can
complaints
track
gotta
them
come
down.
from originally.
Yeah.
So when the people call into the county to the particular office and they can't get the treasurer's office, and then you can see on social media, then we get the information. But by the time we get it, I would hope that our internal staff would already know the stuff is not working.
Sometimes they only call you guys.
No.
And we may not hear about it, but it all depends, because there's a lot of reasons why it could be dropped.
We holler right away when we know it's not working.
Just call it yourself, Mike.
Oh, we do. We
That's-
verify it. So
that's something that-
if we see a system-wide outage like that, we absolutely check it out. But a lot of
there's
times
so
we'll
many
have somebody.
I'll call somebody and I say, and I'll call them, their director and say, do you guys even listen to your phone? You can't get in, you can't, you get passed around, all that stuff. I mean, it's as simple as that.
No, it's one of the first things we do. But if
We
it's
don't have
actually
time.
if it's actually a system issue, that we need to investigate and find out. And those are easier
I
for
said,
us to
just
find.
call in once in a while, have your people call in once in a while and see what they get.
But a lot of times we'll find that
have to resolve that.
people will call and complain just because they're getting a busy signal or being told, hey, it's not there. Not necessarily a technical issue, but we want to hear about those too, especially if they're saying, well, we got dropped. We can go into the system and see why they got dropped.
We supply them with the phone number that they're calling from, and they track that to make sure that there's not something that can't be tightened up to help.
Because we had these issues with the
I think
Cisco
between
system.
the two of you, you guys can figure that out.
Absolutely. We just have,
Yeah. So
if you guys hear about it, please let us know.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying, because we want to make sure we can address the issues.
So my follow-up comment to that is I've been talking about this since January of last year. So I've talked about my own experience calling in, getting dropped, putting on hold. So you get put on hold, and then you say you're in the system, and you get on hold, and then whatever I can't remember what the comment was coming back. You're in the queue, you're in the system, you're on wait, and I put it on speaker, and about an hour later, hang up. I just got disconnected with no warning. Call in again. These are the same things the public has been experiencing. I've been talking about our phone system for a year and a half, and I don't see much improvement. That's my concern.
We did address that issue when you brought that up. And actually, at this point in time, after about 54 minutes, I believe it's 54 minutes, it'll actually drop you to a voicemail and let you leave a voicemail so you don't have to sit and wait. And that's where they're getting a lot of these voicemail issues. The issue that happened last week was none of those voicemails once you sent a voicemail, it would not go anywhere. So calls were coming in, calls were going out. They'd wait for the 54 minutes. It would drop them because the voicemail wouldn't pick up.
And here's my follow-up.
Sure.
Just going to end it here.
Okay.
Nobody should be waiting 54 minutes.
I agree.
All right. Cool, okay. Any other questions or any comments on that?
Yes, thank you. So the incoming calls that we have 4 people coming in, a normal transaction on the phone, processing a title, takes 40 minutes. We only have 4 people that are on the phones back there doing it, 2 do the fast and 2 do the title transfer. So that's why the wait time is there. And those are normally you're calling about a title transaction. And then just at last comment, I've said this before too, you're right, those complaints that you have need to be dealt with by me. I do follow up with every one of them. I call the people, I talk to them, I let them vent. I almost every one, or at least every other one, I get some type of feedback that will assist as well, and we make changes as we go. So I would just ask that the commissioners continue to do that. I am here for the public. We try to please everybody. It's not going to happen. We did the half line, because going back to that, we're having people say, oh, you're not going back to that again, are you? Well, we're going to do the kind of makeshift. If you're here in the office, then we can get you through those lines faster as well. So I appreciate the time to update you where we're at, and we'll be in touch then for
I'm going to make one more
email
comment.
us.
And
I want one more.
Go ahead.
Too.
Go ahead, Ron.
So Annette, what's the telephone number to the treasurer's office?
605-394-2163.
Okay. And if we called now, we're not going to, but if we did, what's the chance that somebody's going to answer the phone?
We've got 4 people sitting on the phone right now talking to people. So the chance that they're going to answer you as it comes through is probably 0.
Okay.
It's probably going to go right to
Because
you putting in the queue.
do you
Because
still, over the noon hours from 11 to 1, just don't answer the phones?
yes, we do shut down for an hour over the lunch hours
You
for
would
them
not
to
get
go
an
take a
answer.
break.
What's that?
You would not get an answer.
Right. I was just curious.
Oh, I wasn't even sure what time it was. Thanks.
I'm just going to I'm only interested in getting, I don't care how you do it, it's your job.
Yep.
Not mine. I just want the lines to go away. I don't want, the best way to handle it for us is not to get the phone calls. If we can get the lines down to 10 or 15 minutes, like Minnehaha County's doing it, we'll never get a phone call. And if we did, it's probably somebody that would just complain anyway, but most of the people that call me have legitimate complaints, so that's my only thing.
I agree. Our staff, myself as well, that's not acceptable either, that wait time.
Right, and
but
you're in
right now, I
control of
see
it,
they're
though,
going
not
as
us,
well.
so that's the bottom line for me.
Yep. We'll take a look, and we'll be back in touch with you after
Thank you.
Minnehaha.
Thank you,
So,
Annette.
thank you.
All right, we're moving on to,
Commission office.
I'm lost here now, 12A. Commission
It's
office.
number 12A.
Oh, okay, somebody flipped the page on me. So. Yeah, writing make all my notes here. 12A, items from commission office, that's Jordan.
You betcha. I'll take it from here. So this first item before the board is the law enforcement wage scale adjustment. This is specifically the implementation of it. During the June 3rd meeting, the board did go ahead and they approved a 3% increase to certain law enforcement positions, not all of them on the PS band of the wage scale. And so implementing this increase is going to require the board to approve an updated wage scale so that we can actually get it done in the system. I explained it in a little bit more detail in the memo. There were 6 total positions that you approved a 3% increase. 3 of those positions actually share the same grade as other positions that are not law enforcement specific. And so in order to provide a 3% increase in the software, we have to split those grades out. And so you have to make a separate grade so that the 3% will apply to those employees, basically putting them on their own new grade. And then the other 3 were the only employees on that grade, and so that was easy. We just applied the 3% to that. And so if you'd like to know exactly which positions needed a new grade, it was the deputy 1s, the deputy 2s were okay, the lieutenants, the sergeants were okay, and the captains, and then the chief deputy was all right. So those were the 3 that needed brand new proposed grades so that we could apply that 3%. And so I've also provided here what that looks like for the wage scale. pretty much exactly the same, except for the fact that there are now 3 additional grades to account for the 3% change. So this just needs to happen administratively so that we can process everything in the software.
Mr. Chair.
Can you translate that Chinese?
No, I was just going to say, if there's a recommended motion, I just want to make sure I'm looking at it right, would be the move to approve the updated 2026 wage scale as presented effective July 5th, 2026.
That would be my recommended motion if you guys want to make sure that we can handle this. If you don't want to approve a new wage scale, we'll have to tackle this in a much more complicated way in the software.
I'm going to go ahead and make that motion for discussion.
Second.
Of a motion from Ross Connect, a second from Drews. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Resolution approving airport holding pond. Jordan?
All right, I'll start this one off, but I think, oh. All right, thank you.
Are you from the airport?
No.
Li-
We're working for the airport.
You're working for the airport?
Yeah, so.
Just in case you've got
Oh,
questions.
Tyler's here. Okay, so, Tyler, is this your deal?
Partially.
I didn't know you built holding ponds.
So Tyler Sobczak, State's Attorney's Office. So a few weeks ago, you heard, or you presided over a resolution regarding a solid waste. It was like a mobile transport thing. We had some questions at that time about the necessity of that resolution. And this really is the exact same thing. So it's that 34A6103 requires for a entity to apply to DANR for what they call a solid waste solid waste permit. Essentially, they need to go through the county first for them to receive the blessing to then go through the DANR process. What you have before here is the City of Rapid City's looking to, and this is why I'm glad the representatives here, is it sounds like they're looking to put in a glycol pond outside of the airport, and for them to take get to start with the DANR permitting process, they do need that resolution blessing from you. I'm certainly able to counsel on the law and kind of that permitting process, but by way of the actual project itself, I would defer to, are you Jason?
Jason, you want to come forward, Jason, please? Thank you. Yep. So this is a sewer holding pond, basically, a lagoon, would you call it?
Jason Hines, FMG Engineering. So, Mr.
Jason.
Chair, we are the engineering consultant for the airport, helping them with this project. But what essentially they're doing is their old lagoon, a few years ago, they moved from on-site sanitary sewer treatment to a lift station and pumped into the city sanitary sewer system. So there's a big pond out there. And in the past, they have taken the de-icing fluid, the glycol from the commercial airlines, and stored it in totes and then trucked it over to the Rapid City wastewater treatment plant. Now they're looking to repurpose that old sewer lagoon for the holding pond of their de-icing fluid.
That's where they're going to put it after they use it?
Apparently, yeah. After they contain it it's always been contained in a catch basin on site underneath the area they spray the planes. Then they have a vac truck where they come suck it out of basically a concrete tank. And they historically have been hauling them in plastic totes or trucks to the water rec facility. And now they want to shift that to have a big storage facility, an open pond in their
They're just going to pour it into that pond?
They're going to go take that same back truck, is my understanding, and go down to the pond, dump it in the holding
People
pond.
that live out there in that area, you got to trust the fact that pond's not going to leak?
Well, so as part of this, like Tyler mentioned, this is just to start the permit process. I can speak fully that the DANR is going to require basically a landfill liner system and containment system to be built. It hasn't even been into technical review with DANR, so all those specifics are more to come.
This is just what I'm signing today, if we prove this, would be the fact that we just are going to let it go through the process.
You guys will.
We're not giving this a blessing or anything.
You guys, and I think the next page has the actual resolution, but you understand that the city is going to apply for a permit.
Okay. They don't have a very good track record with their ponds, buddy.
Yeah, we're like a third-tier subconsultant, so.
Mr. Chair, I got one question. When the pond gets full, then, or does it evaporate, or?
So that is, so far, that is one of the comments from Danner that is requested that the airport come forth with an operations plan similar to a landfill, and that's exactly what that operations plan will have to have in it. Volume of pond, volume of incoming glycol, contingency plans, all those sorts of things.
Tyler, is that the way you understand this?
Yeah,
as a
absolutely, Mr.
We're
Chair.
just part of allowing them to go through with the process. We're not putting any kind
Absolutely,
of
yep.
blessing on it. You guys all get that
Yep,
part? that we're not-
DANR will be the technical, call them arbiter, I suppose, for the disposal, the project plan, for lack of a better term, all of that. This is just the first step they must take to get in the door with Danner, essentially.
Commissioner Drews, go ahead.
Well, I guess my question would be it doesn't involve any county property, it involves city property, but, so state law directs that this has to come through.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when we first heard about this a couple of weeks ago, I was frankly a little shocked that this was the statutory process, but just along with that mobile solid waste transport unit.
It's the same for the landfill, too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, there is no other glycol holding pond in the state of South Dakota, so the state was there's no click online, here's the application. It took them some time to come back to say, this is where we want the city of Rapid City to go, and the bucket that they threw it in was basically landfills.
So have you done a glycol holding pond before?
South Dakota has not.
Oh, but
Yeah,
you
so
haven't
I
done
think
one yourself?
What's that?
You haven't done one yourself?
No, we have not. We have not done
Yeah,
one.
so I mean, from, this
Done
is.
landfills, but.
Yeah, I've done landfills, but, from my perspective, I think that, it would be safe to say that this is going to be a really stringent hands-on process where, DANR is really going to be having a hands-on approach with this specific project from my purview.
Mr. Chair, I'll go ahead and
Commissioner Roskinek.
make a motion. Move to approve the chair's signature on Resolution 2615, providing the required local approval under South Dakota Codified Law 34A-6-103 for the Rapid City Regional Airport's proposed de-icing fluid holding pond project to proceed at state permitting review by the South Dakota Department of Ag and Natural Resources.
Second.
I have a motion from Roskinek and a second from Drews. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Good luck, brother. All right.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'm going to make a motion to enter executive session pursuant to SDCL 125-2-1 for the purpose of discussing personnel and/or 125-2-3 discussing contractual pending litigation.
So we have a motion from Durr and a second from Drews. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, guys. Out of executive session, right?
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second come out of executive session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion.
You go right ahead.
Move to approve the hiring of Roxanne Erickson at grade P4-.2, step 20, $59.45, effective June 8th, 2026.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We can just adjourn, right?
Motion to adjourn. So
Second.
moved.
Moving, motion and second adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen. Great meeting.